KRS-ONE. So KRS, you're a legend. You've done so much things for the community. So how important is this that hip-hop should be recognized and will be recognized as the music genre that is peaceful around the world, that brings people together, should be known worldwide? What's your feelings about that?
Well, to be honest with you, I mean, hip. There's nothing. You just said it.
I know, but
You just said it right there. There's nothing really to say. It's what it is. Hip hop is a global culture, and I tell you the truth, we should be doing more to preserve it and promote it and further develop it. Just keeping hip hop in an entertainment arena is such a disservice to what this thing is really all about. And like I say, here we are at this concert, Universal Hip Hop Museum, the city of New York, and trying to get everybody vaccinated and stuff like that. Imagine if you could use hip hop to bring all these people together to get vaccinated or put their fears aside about a vaccination, then why are we not the government itself?
Correct.
Well, why are we not the leaders? Why are we not the ones making the decisions? We're only being used and exploited. And it's really time for us. Hip-hop, it's not the person using and exploiting. It's for us to unite, come together, stop competing with each other, and start cooperating with each other. And that's what this whole thing should be. This whole thing should be about that, the whole thing.
Exactly, and I agree 100% with this guy. If you guys don't know, this is the legendary KRS-ONE. He's about to blow up the stage tonight, and the whole world is waiting for you to do us justice.
Oh, we're
bro.
going
We
to break
appreciate
these
it.
people. They're going to be broken.
Oh, man, and the bridge is never over. The
Oh, no.
bridge is here
They're
tonight.
right here. We're making a bridge right now.
That's right, and I'm loving it. So, guys, check this guy out tonight from the Universal Hip Hop Museum right here on the homecoming week of New York City. KRS-ONE.
Peace and much love. I am Minister Sun One. Welcome to the Temple of Hip Hop, and here is our teacher, KRS-ONE.
Who's actually trying to fix his hair. Who's that in the background yelling, trying to join us?
that would be the little princess. Come here, Beanface.
No doubt.
Come here.
Put my beads on.
This is the. Come here, Bean. Oh, real quick. She's not gonna cooperate. Okay, that's that for that.
That was enough of that.
Right. Well, everybody should know she's a future hip hopper. She beatboxes already.
He already has an MC voice. You already know what it is.
Right, that's right. She says hip hop. She knows what it is.
Wow.
Yeah, she's a little emotional. Actually, gonna take her to Sesame Street. So she doesn't know it, but she's about to have a great time.
But that's great then.
Yes,
We going to Sesame Street right now.
no, that's right.
Like you just said, welcome to the Temple of Hip Hop. You know, as you can see, I'm in a hotel room. We are traveling. I'm in New York, and you're home, I guess.
No, I'm in Jersey.
Oh, you in Jersey?
Yeah.
Wow, we all just traveling.
That's right.
So, a quick update. Some quick updates before we start. And thanks for last week's reading.
Oh yes.
Thanks for last week's reading. I'm running, and matter of fact, there's a little bit too much light on me here. My face looks a little bright, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me try to, because I'm standing here in front of a window for natural light. But just let me lower that down a little more, even more. Yeah. But it's still the same way. It's actually
the sun.
Yes, the sun itself. Okay. Hold on, let me just get my forgive me for adjusting myself in the session, but I'm actually looking to see. Oh, this is a little better, It's all right. I'm in a hotel, so bear with me. It's not my studio. It's not my home. It's not where I would normally have my lighting. But nonetheless, we will get this lesson off.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Get my hair together here.
Well, let me start by saying, actually, I was able to get all of the attendance recorded. And I'm noticing a particular trend of, I can see essentially who's been at every single um, class so far, either that or those who are in attendance are just not sending it in, which is always a possibility. Um, and I just wanted to say that uh, the only thing necessary to do when you send in your check-in or your attendance check-in is to just put the date of that um, in the subject. When you send the actual email, put that, and that's essentially all you have to do. Check in attendance and said date in order for it to be recorded. Also, I did put on the templeofhiphop.org. If you go to the Temple of Hip Hop section, you'll see all of the classes that pertain to the Gospel of Hip Hop reading and Gospel of Hip Hop studies that we have done so far. And for those who need to catch up, can catch up there. But also, I wanted to say that this attendance and the study of this particularly is for those who are looking to be accredited by the Temple of Hip Hop to be teachers in their respective areas when this is all done after a some form of test will be taken, and then you'll get your accreditation. If you're just visiting and watching this, there's not necessarily a reason to check in. I have recorded every single one or every single person who's checked in, but some of them are just one time, or they just check in because they see the check in. But again, if to me, if you don't have a plan on becoming either a teacher, a minister, or a hip hop cultural specialist, I don't think that there's necessarily a need to send a check in every once in a while when you decide to come in. And I'm gonna figure out a way to write that and be able to say that before we start each call, because I know that we have new people coming in every single time. But I just wanted to clarify that, and much respect to those who have been to every lesson so far, and we have it recorded. And salute to you, and you are on your way. But also, again, on the templeofhiphop.org, under the Temple of Hip Hop and the Gospel of Hip Hop Studies, you will be able to find them in order, the classes that we've given so far, so that you can go back, study. Maybe you possibly missed a highlight, which is important that you keep those to know for when it's all over. And that's pretty much it for me right now.
Okay. Simone was showing me this proclamation. I might as well just start with that in terms of the announcements. You know what? Also, just coming off of what you was just saying, you know, this is a test. Let me alert everyone listening to us as well. You know, let me cut the AC as well. Alert everyone who is that this is a test of discipline. It's funny because we're going to be talking about this today, about discipline and about consistency. And you guys have to be more consistent than even I am. This is what's building us. We have to be better than the teacher or teachers, better than the ministers. We're trying to move forward. So keep in mind that I'm making a commitment. Son One, you're making a commitment. G. Simone's made a commitment. I'm quite sure others, you know, Zins and Pascal and everyone who's part of this has made a commitment to join on this call every week. And even if we're not on the call, go back, catch the lesson when you can, and move forward. The idea is not just the memorized knowledge, it's your participation in the creation of culture. So remember, at the end of this, your attendance will prove your participation in culture, even if You pop in once, pop in twice, pop in 3 times. Okay, this is how you learn, and this is how you get down. And that is also welcomed. If you could only come in for 1 or 2 classes, you know, there it is. But to be a true hip hop cultural specialist, to be the minister, to open a temple of your own wherever you are in this world, you're going to have to be here every single time, or be able to go back, study, get the highlights, know the lesson, and do it like that. So Sun One, you're absolutely correct. We need to tighten ourselves up on this organizational front to really start, you know, knowing who's who and what's what, and maybe even in between, like before the year is out, or before the reading is out, we do like a half-year assessment, sort of like a midterm is what they would call it in a school, a midterm before the finals, you know, kind of thing. So let me just say that. Add that piece as well. This is about the building of culture, and the commitment you make to this call is the building of the culture. And that brings me to this next piece, because, you know, I always like to say, you know, we speak with evidence. And let me also start off by saying, welcome to the Temple of Hip Hop. Mm-hmm. The Temple of Hip Hop is a hip hop preservation ministry, archive, school, and society. We established ourselves in 1996 when KRS-ONE, yours truly, realized that he was hip-hop, that he was not just doing hip-hop, but that he was actually it. And he ran out to tell his friends, his brothers and sisters, and everyone else that they, too, were hip-hop. This created the I am hip-hop philosophy, and this is what we've been living ever since. As a matter of fact, with the Temple of Hip-Hop, also, we've established Hip Hop Appreciation Week in 1998 and have supported Hip Hop History Month after that. In addition to that, we went ahead in 2001 and established hip hop as an international culture of peace and prosperity at the United Nations, May 16, 2001. Other institutions teach 4 elements, 5 elements, maybe even 6 elements. The Temple of Hip Hop teaches 9 elements: breaking, MCing, graffiti art, DJing, beatboxing, street fashion, street language, street knowledge, and street entrepreneurialism. For us, we teach culture, not just the breaking, MCing, graffiti art performance parts of the culture. We teach the whole culture, which is what I just laid out: breaking, MCing, graffiti art, DJing, beatboxing, street fashion, street language, street knowledge, and street entrepreneurialism. We also went over the fact that hip hop is approached in 3 natures, or what we would say 3 nomos, 3 natures or 3 names. There's uppercase H, hip hop, lowercase IP, lowercase HOP. One word, looks like high fop. That's hip hop as consciousness. Then there's capital H, lowercase I, lowercase p, space, capital H, lowercase o, lowercase p. That is the official spelling of hip hop as culture. We spell hip hop as culture with a capital H because all cultures, nations, communities are spelled in their proper nouns. So they're spelled in uppercase H, uppercase a letter. That's our official spelling. And then there's the third spelling, lowercase hip hop, lowercase HIP, dash or space, lowercase HOP. That's rap music entertainment, rap music product. That's the entertainment aspect of hip hop. Yes, there it is right there, the 3 spellings of hip hop. Hip hop, the first one looks like high fop, that's consciousness. The second one, which is the official spelling, is hip hop. And the third one is the commercialized version of that second spelling there. Rap music, rap entertainment, entertainment in general, hip hop as a music genre. That's that last spelling in lowercase. And you'll notice that so far as we speak, dictionaries, magazines, they're spelling hip hop in lowercase like this, although they're calling us a culture. That is a bit disrespectful. So I bring you all of this to welcome you to the Temple of Hip Hop. Even if it's not your first time, welcome to the Temple of Hip Hop. If you've been coming here, Welcome to the Temple of Hip Hop. This is a brief synopsis as to how we are approaching hip hop. We approach hip hop as culture. We always have, even before others did not. I say that respectfully.
Yes.
We approach hip hop as a spiritual practice, even before others did not. I say that humbly. But that's what you're here for. That's what the Temple of Hip Hop is. And we're proud of our work. We're doing the work. And you should be proud of our work, or your work as well. Those that support the Temple of Hip Hop with membership and real money coming in, thank you for that. Thank you for that. Our work is based on your support as well. So we thank you for that. And those that send in ideas and take time with us, and even to get on this call because you want to progress this, we thank you for that. Thank you for being here. So now the work continues.
Yes,
The work continues.
That's
Not the hoopla and the hopla, but the actual work to preserve our culture continues. How do we preserve hip hop? We preserve hip hop by preserving hip hoppers. We are hip hop. So we're not preserving LL Cool J's hat or Run DMC sneaker or Cool Herc's the turntable or KRS-One's rhyme books. Ugh. We're not preserving those. What we are preserving is the actual hip hopper, his or herself. That preserves hip hop. Sure, we want to preserve the memorabilia. Sure, we with all that. And then also, that work is being done by the Universal Hip Hop Museum. Let them, preserve the memorabilia, take the physical things and try to make a building and do that kind of stuff. And the Temple of Hip Hop is in support of that. Yes, indeed. However, the Temple of Hip Hop is more interested in the essence of hip hop, the cause of it, the character of it, the culture of it, the energy, the vibrational force that makes us hip hop. This is what we're looking to preserve, and that is the hip hopper, his or herself. So I'm in New York because last week I was asked to be part. Let's bring it back up. I was asked to be part of a August 29th ceremony that was going to happen. Now, here in New York, just so you guys know, August 11th has been declared Hip Hop Celebration Day. And the month of August, the whole month of August, has been considered Hip Hop Recognition Month. Now I'm pulling this up on another phone so I could read it directly to you. I should have had my paper out, but we're on the run. This is from Congress.gov. If you want to go to this, Congress.gov. This is hip hop being recognized by the United States government as an official culture, and also these months and days as the official days and month. Day and month to recognize hip hop. So here we are. I'm reading a resolution. It says here, Resolution 331, a resolution designated August 11th, 2021 as Hip Hop Celebration Day, designating August 2021 as Hip Hop Recognition Month, as designating November 2021 as Hip Hop History Month. So now this is a spot in the resolution sponsored by Senator Chuck Schumer. It was introduced July 29th, 2021. And July 27th, it was submitted to the Senate. It was considered and agreed to without amendment and with a preamble by unanimous consent. This is unanimous, the Senate, all that Republican, Democrat, all of them said hip hop is what it is, okay, all of them. And you can go and look at this at Congress.gov. That's what I'm reading from, Congress.gov. Let me read it to you one more time quicker. So Resolution 331, Senate Resolution 331, a resolution designating August 11th, 2021 as Hip Hop Celebration Day, designating August 2021 as Hip Hop Recognition Month and designating November 2021 as Hip Hop History Month. Now, that is a major achievement for us. And let me show you why on several levels. One is that in May 16th, 2021, matter of fact, go to your gospel if you can, and let me just find it real quick. We're gonna go to the hold on. Let me get you right here. I think it's the 17th. But let me just that's the Temple of Hip Hop. Hold up.
The 14th?
Yeah, I think it's. Oh yeah, you might be right about that. Hold on, let me see that also. I'm doing two things at once, y'all. Forgive me. I'm pulling up more resolution.
You looking for the Declaration of Peace?
Yes.
Yeah, the 14th, page 549.
I'm right there. I'm right there. What I want to do is read. Hold up. And just keep that resolution up. See if we could. There's just a little more resolution to read before I went further. But what I want to do is point your attention. Okay, sorry. Point your attention to the ninth principle. To the ninth principle. This is why this work is so important and why it takes so long to get things done. But when they're done, they're done. Okay. So in May of 1998, the Temple of Hip Hop declared May, the third week in May, as Hip Hop Appreciation Week. Every third week in May, we declared Hip Hop Appreciation Week every third week in May in 1998. And we got about 5 to 10 proclamations from across the country. Same like they're doing now, just like they're doing now. You get a proclamation from the city. So we got Atlanta, we got Washington, we got the Senate, we got New York, we got Manhattan, we got the Bronx. In particular, everyone to recognize Hip Hop Appreciation Week as being on the books. Now, this was the first actually, I should say the second recognized hip hop holiday or a moment to check hip hop. It was the second officially because Rap Day was established by Andre Harrell. Rest in peace, Andre Harrell established Rap Day even further back in the 80s. Sometime in the 80s, he established Rap Day, which was May 3rd. And we recognize that. That's also there in the ninth principle of the Hip Hop Declaration of Peace. By the way, I'm at the ninth principle of the Hip Hop Declaration of Peace. This is on page 555. Wow, what an omen. Check them numbers out. Page 555. Let me just read this to you. And this, of course, this book was published in 2008. I'm sorry, 2009. 1998 was the Hip Hop Appreciation Week. And we got proclamations to confirm that. Okay, and that's what's important. Okay, confirmation. Okay, not just in your head, not just you talking, but we got actual confirmation of this. And so does Andre Harrell. He got a proclamation for May 3rd. I think it was back in 85 or maybe even 84. He went and got that. We, using precedents, jumped from there to Hip Hop Appreciation Week, May 1998. Got the proclamations. Then we went further into 2021. At the beginning of the new millennium, we established Hip Hop Appreciation. Well, we established hip hop at the UN, but within establishing hip hop at the UN, governments reaffirmed their confirmation of Hip Hop Appreciation Week. Somewhere, I think we have within the Temple of Hip Hop online where you can see these proclamations. You can see these proclamations. I think I did a lecture where I showed them. They might be in one of the past teachings, but if you wanted to go and see that, you might want to go check one of the past teachings. And I'm struggling for even to tell you where to go see that at.
It would be on Vimeo.
Huh?
On our Temple of Hip Hop channel on Vimeo.
You might be able to find it there.
Yeah.
So
I'll look for it and try to put it on the actual website.
No doubt. Good looking on that. But for you to see the actual documentation, the actual proclamations, we've been collecting these. So what happens is when you have precedents, okay, we established the Hip Hop Declaration of Peace at the United Nations. We have the first proclamations for hip hop as holiday. And like I said, Andre Harrell has the first proclamation. And maybe Kool Herc may have something that he's not, putting his hand on or paying attention to. But Herc was awarded a whole lot of stuff in the 70s. Things were said and, things were acknowledged in the 70s. But we didn't have no physical documentation. We were struggling with that. It wasn't until the scholar KRS came into the picture that we started really documenting hip hop in paper, on video, and taking down testimony and depositions from our founders. That starts with the Temple of Hip Hop. I proudly and humbly say that. Okay, so now we move forward. Ninth principle. Let me read this to you. Ninth principle. I'm on page 555. May 3rd is Rap Music Day. Okay, hip hoppers are encouraged to dedicate their own time and talent to self-development and for service to their communities. That's what was in the initial confirmation proclamation that Andre Harrell got. That was the initial intent of it. Hip hoppers are encouraged to dedicate their own time and talent to self-development and for service to their communities. That's strong. That's Rap Day, May 3rd. Every third week in May is Hip Hop Appreciation Week. During this time, hip hoppers are encouraged to honor their ancestors, reflect upon their cultural contributions, and appreciate the elements and principles of hip hop culture. And notice how hip hop culture is spelled. November is Hip Hop History Month. During this time, hip hoppers are encouraged to participate in the creating, learning, and honoring of hip hop's history and historical cultural contributions. So let me also point out to you that in the ninth principle, what you're getting is the first one, Rap Day, Andre Harrell. That's the whole corporate side of hip hop. That's the whole corporate side of hip hop. That would even be lowercase hip hop. But nonetheless, here we are united. And I want to point that out. Andre Harrell gets big respect for what he's done in hip hop. And he was original hip hop. Go back, check Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. They had a mean song out back in the days to the Genius of Love breakbeat sample. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde was not to be played with. But Andre Harrell then became a music executive and put out a whole bunch of people from Bad Boy to Heavy D to, I can't even, the list is too stupid to even mention what this man did in our culture, not just the music, but in the culture. And you can see Andre Harrell in the culture with this May 3rd Rap Music Day. You can see that there. So I would give that credit to lowercase hip hop, the corporate side, the marketing, promotions, radio, television, the money side of hip hop had a Rap Day. Now, just under that is, of course, consciousness. This is the Temple of Hip Hop. Now we come in with consciousness. This is what we're saying during this time. Hip hoppers are encouraged to honor their ancestors, reflect upon cultural contributions, appreciate the elements and principles of hip hop. Hip hop's culture, in addition to its history, all of that. That's Temple of Hip Hop. That's our intent in this as well. The last one would be Zulu Nation, who initiated November as Hip Hop History Month. And Hip Hop History Month was always celebrated by Zulu Nation, but it was after we declared hip hop an official culture at the United Nations that November as Hip Hop History Month then became a recognized holiday. Zulu Nation went and got proclamations after May 16, 2021, they went and got proclamations as well. When you see everyone's proclamation, look at the dates. Look at the dates. This is important because we're going forward in precedence. We're moving in precedence. And this is the way you do it. This is scholarship. This is the way in which it is done. And so Zulu Nation followed up with another proclamation right after we did our thing. And that's where you get here. Hip-hoppers are encouraged to participate in the creating. You hear me? The creating, learning, and honoring of hip-hop's history and historical cultural contributors. Creating them. Okay? Very important. Okay? And that's what we're doing here. So I read that piece to you because we're in real time and our work is real and the history is real. So what happened was, because of that precedence, because of what I just read to you, okay, and just explained to you, now, in 2021, a resolution was offered to Congress to get this thing started and to officially recognize hip hop in the month of August, because hip hop's official birthday is August 11th. And so they said August. Now, let me tell you something about psychic ability. Before we chose May, we chose August, because August was the date of the date of hip hop's birthday. The agreed upon date for hip hop's birthday was August 11th. And we originally argued over this, but there was a woman named Tambisa Mshaka Morris who convinced me that it should be May for the ancestors. I think Marcus Garvey's birthday was in May. Malcolm was in May. Somebody else, like 5 dudes in May.
Well, Marcus is in August.
Oh, Marcus, I'm off. But Malcolm was definitely there. Look it up. There's several freedom fighters in May, and we said let us do that in May in honor of them. Plus hip hoppers, a lot of them too, prominent hip hoppers, again in May. Although August, right? Although August, I think Biggie was May or something like that. But then August though is, you know, myself, Fat Joe, Kumo D, and all of this. So I say all of that just in terms of omen and psychic ability. I think back on it because I remember having this very talk, and we was deciding whether it should be August or May, and we chose May. Now here's how it worked out. May actually works out to be great for us because let me get this story finished with you so we can start our lesson. We're already a half hour in, which is important for you to know. So, based on precedents, now the government says, Resolution 331, okay, says hip hop is official, okay, or at least the recognition of it and these days are going to be official. So they say August is what it is, and they lock it down, and it's the government, so they're doing it, you know, clinically. If it started in August, then August is the day they what it is. So they're going over there with August. But precedents, everyone who worked on this kind of work, scholars go back and get you because they cannot move forward without having the ancestral precedents to move forward. And I got to bring this up because this is the difference between hip hop as a music genre and hip hop as real culture. Hip hop as something to be studied, not just danced to. The government understands that. They're full of scholars, lawyers, people who know culture. These people run robbing cultures, okay? You know, they know what a culture is, okay? That this is what it is. Now, when you look at this, okay, when we was about today, today, August 29th, today's the 29th, right? Yeah. Today, we were supposed to make official the August 11th and August month, the official, we was going to make these dates official. Of course, they called me. They didn't call a whole lot of people. They called Bronx natives. I think the Locks may have got a call. Slick Rick got a call. I know Rick got a call. I got a call. And the call was based on the Declaration of Peace. The call was based on, and in fact, Kool Herc himself asked for me to be there. So there was a guy named Leroy, who is the writer of this, is a congressman, not a guy, is a congressman, someone affiliated with the government, who was pushing for this and wrote this up. And he's the one who contacted Simone and said, Herc is requesting the KRS be there, and so are we, in that sense. Sent me the resolution I read to you, and so on. So the precedents, our work continues. Our work is recognized. We did not write this resolution, and we didn't have pretty much anything to do with the creation of the resolution. But the resolution can only stand upon the precedents of previous resolutions. This is what builds your culture. So we welcome it. We welcome it. And I was asked to be a part. I'm not refusing. I was asked to give my blessing. I'm not refusing. So this is going to become an official date with hip hop. I spoke to Chuck Schumer while we was out in the last week's concert event with the Universal Hip Hop Museum. Had a quick 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes, a quick 1 minute with Chuck Schumer. I thanked him for the presentation, for the proclamation he gave us 20 years ago. And then thanked him for the one that he just endorsed, which is 331. So again, no matter what we say about politicians, and you know I'm harsh, I'm not budget, okay? I'm harsh critic of politicians and politics and everything going on. But I have to I'm a man of truth. And the truth is that every time hip hop called the New York Senate, they responded. They responded. And I don't know sneaky, government sneak. They always got some crazy going on, so don't get it twisted, okay? You're talking to the government, there's some twisty going on. But the truth of the matter is, when you want to get something done, or at least when hip hop wanted to get something done, and we called on the government to get it done, we were not denied. We were not denied. Dudes came out. Dudes signed stuff, put it into their laws that they are going to now follow and recognize as true. We need to start really paying attention to that. A little less of the criticism, at least for 5 minutes. For 5 minutes, okay? We'll ease up off these clouds for 5 minutes only, okay? To just say the truth. And the truth is, when we call, and I've called, Herc has called, and now, this resolution has called. The United States government has always been there for us. Anytime we're moving positive, anytime we're moving forward toward culture. And remember, when I'm at these things, I speak candidly and openly, okay? Remember that. Government behind us. Government with it. Government pushing us. Yeah. Keep telling these people they're slaves and need to get free. Okay. This is the United States government behind us. Okay. We was just at the 1619. Shout out to the 1619 project. I was in Virginia day before yesterday. I was in Virginia with the 1619 project. And last week, right? Wow, time flies. 1619 project. And let me just give you a little omen on this. It's so much. This is so much. The week before that, I was with Tim Terra. I was doing a birthday party and a lecture. Tim is a Temple member from Virginia. So he set up the Temple lecture for us to talk. And of course, there was the show in the front. Afterwards. So I get there and I'm like, wow, I'm not going to be able to see the 1619 project because I was in Virginia. I wanted to go. I'm finishing a book called Black Oustery. I needed to get to Jamestown, Virginia. I'm there in Virginia. And I said, I got to get to Jamestown. I didn't have enough time. I couldn't even see my man Knots. I couldn't go to the thing. I had no time for nothing. Swallowed up. So I leave. I tell Simone. I even tell someone. I said, look, when I come back, we're going to Jamestown, Virginia. We're going to do this. So I don't even know when I'm coming back. I just said whenever I come back, I'm going to make time. Lo and behold, I go home, get an email. Bing! 1619 Project would like to honor you, KRS, to come and be the keynote speaker of a national commemoration for the first enslaved Africans to arrive in Jamestown. Huh? Wait. Huh? What? Huh? Okay, I don't know. You may want to play games with it, but this is real truth. What happened to me? Okay, this is what happened. So at the end of the day, I'm blown away. Okay, like, look, I said I'm going to see the 1619 Project. This is what came out my mouth. Okay, lo and behold, the 1619 Project calls me, gives me money. Yo, money. I got money. I'm sitting there. So I go do the 1619 Project. I roll up to Jamestown, Hampton, Virginia. Why we in Hampton, Virginia? Well, so the scholar comes out. Chris, did you know that the first enslaved Africans did not land at Jamestown, Virginia? They land at Fort Monroe, which was Fort Comfort, which is now Hampton, Virginia. Okay, Fort Monroe is where they really landed, which is Hampton, Virginia, not Jamestown, Virginia, as is taught in every history book. They had the mayor out there. They sent a representative from the governor to tell me. The governor sent the representative to tell me, keep doing your work. We are listening. We hear you. And keep doing. I took the woman's card, everything. I got all this stuff. I'm going to go back and have dinner with her. Because she was a revolutionary. She's sitting there talking reparations, okay, in the U.S. government. She is a congresswoman, somebody worked with the governor, okay, of Virginia, okay. They talking reparations and how they can get this thing and all kinds of programs jumping off for low-income families and, of course, black and brown people. All types of programs. The government's pushing all of this right now. You better open your eyes. You better apply for something. It ain't gonna last. It ain't gonna last. But while Black Lives Matter and all this stuff is in vogue, you better go get your cash. Okay. So I'm there at the 1619 and they're telling me, first of all, it ain't Jamestown. It's this. And of course, this is a debate. Some other scholar will come and say they crazy. It's Jamestown. Then they came and said, no, you're crazy. We have documentation. It's over here. And this is how scholarship works. Okay. So I'm in the center of the debate now. And I'm learning so much. I'm learning so, like what I just said, and other stuff too, names, dates, different names. This guy said, I piled it all into my new book called Black Ouster. You may want to kind of get that when it comes out. Okay. So I'm piling this in. So I say this first to point out that when you walk this path, this is what happens. Your words are divine. Divine. And I have to say, when you walk the path, if you don't walk the path, you can say whatever you want. Okay, it is what it is. But if you walk the path, if you're trying to connect yourself to higher principles, trying to connect yourself to the deeper aspects of yourself, you're looking at your divinity, you're paying attention to it. You're a spiritual person. Spirituality means something to you. If you're walking that path, this is what goes down. And I only was shocked at the exactness of the universe. That's the only shock. It happens all the time. Matter of fact, check out Sun One's record. What's the name of that record we did? Well, I said The Gift of Fatah.
Oh, that Hip Hop Forever.
Hip Hop Forever. Boom, bap. Oh, yeah. See, this is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay. We outlined it in that record. Go back, check out Hip Hop Forever, the song. You can check the whole album, but check the song. And you'll see I'm rhyming about what I'm talking about right now. It actually happened in real life. And it's important that I point this out to you on your quest to enliven the gift of Ptah, which
well, hold on. I got to confirm with you.
more.
Of which the gift of Ptah seemed to possibly backfire on me.
Woo!
My G. I don't know if you remember or not, but a song that was supposed to go on Hip Hop Forever. It was the only song or that you had said specifically to me. I played it for you, and you said, "Nah, I'm not feeling that song." And I said, "Yeah, well, I kind of just threw it together, or I don't feel like it fits either, so I'm gonna take it off." This song is the song that I recorded to Knotz's instrumental. The chorus proceeds to say, "I couldn't see myself sitting in a cell in another nigga's jail when I'm free myself."
Woo!
In the verse, it talks about trying to get away with something, but the only way to get away with something is if God allows it. But that odds 10 to 1, God's not going to allow it because you're too divine and you already know too much. So it essentially says, no, you're gonna get hit. Then it proceeds to talk about getting money or racking up money to give it all to court fees and lawyers. I could make this shit up if I wanted to. If I wanted to. And for it to be on the night that I meet the dude and all the above, it was really silly. It's his beat. It's his place I go. When leaving there, all this transpires, and come on. So yeah, no, or to me that, or I'm trying to add on to the fact that you said, or you should heed the warning that if you are divine, watch what you say. Watch what comes out your mouth. If you aren't, you have the liberty. Clearly it doesn't affect you. You can't call things into existence, but doing things, you don't have the same repercussions that a person who's living a certain way and heading on a certain path has to adhere to.
Real talk. And real talk. You learn either way.
Right.
It's the thing that sometimes you win and sometimes you learn.
No doubt. No doubt.
You learn either way. And to glean that lesson, come on, you already know you on the path. So look at what we are saying. And that's basically what I'm saying here. And let me bring into you what based on what you was just saying as well. Bring it out to those listening to us right now. Be careful. If you're walking this path for real, you're going to manifest through your mouth and through your intent and even God's communication to you. You're going to manifest the things that you speak about. And so the 1619 project for me was one of the latest of that occurrence, of the occurrence there. And then I gained new insight as well, gained new insight while being there. So again, shout out to the 1619 project and everybody over there. Big up to the governor of Virginia, as well as the young lady. The names are all escaping me, but that's why I'm saying it in this way. The lady that came with her husband as well. The whole event was really, really nice. Really nice. And then, of course, I got confirmed by older
Janice and John.
Janice and John. Janice was the
woman, the Underwood with the black wood.
Janice, right? Simone just confirmed that the government woman, her name was Janice, and her husband John. So put that into the record. That was nice. I was saying that the elders there also confirmed me. Different from celebrity. A lot of them didn't even know who I was. There's a lot of older people there, 70s, 80s, old heads. The Tucker family, the first African American to be born in America, is supposed to be John Tucker. So the Tucker family was also there to commemorate this thing, this new commemoration for the first 20 enslaved Africans to arrive in the U.S. So they were there. They came over. They didn't really know who I was, and I appreciated that because I was getting the real confirmation. It wasn't, and not that, celebrity's not real, but it's not. Okay, somebody running up on you, yo, Chris, no. These are old heads, okay? This is fish and grits, okay? This is pork chops, this is chitlins, okay? This is that, okay? Old folk coming up. Brother, I don't know who you are, son, but what you said was so on point, son. Keep going. I got about 4 or 5 of those. And you leave with that. You leave with that elder blessing on you, and it opens you up. It heals things. It brings ease to your mind. It increases your immune system. When your elders are saying, yes, we approve of you. You're saying what we want to hear. Keep going, keep saying it. That's very important. That is so, and I'm comparing it, there's no way to compare, but compare it to the Grammy. Compare it to some sort of an Emmy, or, you know what I'm saying? Again, I can't disrespect these awards. I don't want to always sound like I'm dissing, but the truth, I have to give it to you the way it is. And there's something to be said about your elder giving you a validation versus the corporate whatever giving you a validation. And for me, I felt that at the 1619 project, and I walked off with that knowledge and wisdom. Walked off with that. That was the 1619 project. And also, like I'll reiterate, I'm just reading some notes here. Reiterate August 11th, 1973, as I mentioned. And I'm not going to read the whole thing. Print it out. I'll read it next week or whatever. It's longer words that we found there. But I'm gonna end this. So August 11th, 1973 is official, and August is the official month of hip hop recognition month. Wait, is it hip hop recognition month or hip hop celebration?
Hip hop recognition month.
Recognition.
It's
Hip hop celebration day.
Yeah, right. Okay, get the scholarship right.
We're taking over the calendar.
No doubt. As a matter of fact, I'm glad you said that, because that was the last part of what I was going to bring up, was that we took over the calendar. Check out how God's working, though. Check this out. So if you start with February as the beginning of the year for us, so you have Black History Month, February. So March, April, May. You have Hip Hop Appreciation Week, May, June, July, August. Now you have Hip Hop Recognition Month. You have Hip Hop Recognition Month and Hip Hop Celebration Day. Okay. And then, so from August, September, October, November. Now you have Hip Hop History Month. November, okay. December, October. I'm sorry. December, January, back to February. Now, I don't see it as coincidence that every 3 months we're hailing up hip hop. I see this as divine providence. I see the exactness of what I just said. February, it goes into okay, hip hop, May, August, November, back to February. There's no excuse now. Hip hop is all year round now.
That's right.
It's all year round. And those that do organizational work on behalf of the culture, every 2 months we should be organizing something. Every 2 months we organizing and getting hip hop where it's supposed to be in world culture and world history. We did colonize the calendar. We colonized the 365-day calendar every 3 months. And why every 3? And look at the mysticness on it. Look at this. Every 3 months, there's a reason to hail up hip hop for the whole year. Okay, every 3 months, exactly, with the August being the capstone now on it. And August is a capstone. August, the Leo, the August, the whole word August. Okay, everything about August is the top, the brightest, the hottest, the most flamboyant, vibrant. Okay, that's what it means to be August. Okay, so hip hop does come into full fruition as we are 2 years out, 3 years out from the 50th anniversary of hip hop, which we are doing our planning now for that. So the celebration for August 11th, 1973, the Temple of Hip Hop is going to plan its own. Temple of Hip Hop is going to plan its own. Let me hit y'all with that right now. Make some notes. Oh, and here's why. Because August 29th, today, the event we was going to do got canceled because of the bombing in Afghanistan. And so because of the bombing in you might have heard of this if you haven't gone on the news, 12 Americans were killed, more than that, actually. I think it was 12 soldiers were killed. Others were wounded in Afghanistan. It's a crazy war debacle going on out there. Dudes are just getting shot left and right. So they blew up something, killed Americans. And so all government officials are now being called to Washington for now a stance on whatever it is. That's their life. That's their business. But it affected us because Chuck Schumer, the head of the majority leader and head of the Senate, who was the one writing the proclamation and going to stand there with us to bring it in, he was called to Washington. So the whole event was canceled until further notice, and no one knows when that notice is. So the Temple of Hip Hop will take it upon itself to do its own event. We're going to discuss that, and I'm putting that on. I'm also putting that on your head, Son One, as well, for our organizational call. We may have to just talk that up. We may have to have an emergency organizational call, or just just have our organizational call tomorrow, and do it like that, because we have to step up and have the ceremony ourselves. It's already on the books. It's like a marriage, City Hall is where your marriage actually is, but the wedding is some other crazy. Okay. But so we're already in City Hall. It's already been passed unanimously. Hip hop is official in New York in August. That's already on the books, but there's no ceremony. There's no publicity. There's no this, there's no that. There's where our work now comes in. And this is where I would ask those that may have venues, this is a tour. It's not just one thing, one ceremony. We have to make the world know that this is what went down and this is what happened. So those that want to join us and show up places or set up their own events and so on, in your own town to make people aware that this is what's going on, please do so. This is the work of the temple. Those that have money that they can send forward to us. As you know, we're not we're not asking nobody for nobody and all that. We work for hours here. But if you want to participate karmically as well, bring your money forward. We're bringing our money forward. You can believe that. I'm looking for the dopest spot to do this thing, and it's going to cost us money. Okay, so we already putting our money up. If you got something to bring it now. The donation is right there. It'll pop up on the screen soon. But send your donation for this specific thing. And when you send your donation, say it's specifically for this. Okay. What we're doing is we're renting a building or renting some sort of space to have our pioneers come in. We like to do a ceremony with dinner. In New York. We like to do it in New York. And soon. Maybe for November, Hip Hop History Month. Maybe we do it sooner than that, like October. But we're going to get on an organizational call and hash all of this out. Those that want to be part of the organization, get on the organizational call tomorrow and see what's up with that. There it is there. Donations and dues, PayPal, hiphoppreservation@gmail.com. Everybody on this call on a deeper level should send something, because it's a group effort we're doing. That's what I'm appealing to you with. It's sort of like the attendance. It's the same spirit of the attendance. You being here, you participating is building the culture for real. And we're taking records and notes of who said what when, who appeared when, where. We're taking notes and we're taking records. Because again, when your children come to the Temple of Hip Hop, say 50 years from now, and need their cultural legacy, need their heritage to be confirmed, we can go back to a record and say, well, you know what? When hip hop was being confirmed, your father, your mother sent in $20. Your father, your mother sent in $200. They stood there. They didn't send no money in, but when they came to the event itself and volunteered for the event to go down, they wore the temple shirt at the event and volunteered for free. All of this is worth money. All of this, okay, is worth money. So again, like I said, we're going to do this anyway. So don't get it twisted. We spending our money toward hip hop. But from a karmic level, from a communal level, from a straight temple member level, how real are you right now? That's what it's about. How real are you right now? The government can't do the event because they in war. Okay, so they over there. What do we do for ourselves? They already put it on the books. They already said they wanted to do the ceremony. They already said all of this. So what are we going to do? Sit and wait for Master to do it for us? No. We're going to get up and we're going to do this for ourselves. So that's what I'm going to end on that part with and get on with our lesson for today. But that is what's going on. So the organizational call, we'll jump.
Let me say we'll do a special Zoom itself.
Okay.
It's a Zoom call dedicated to this project. Because or we have to discuss still who actually who gets in the organizational calls according to these records as far as attendance is concerned. So once we get on that, we'll figure that out. But we can have a public, or not a public, but a Temple of Hip Hop where everybody can join, at least for that project, to see if he wants to be down.
No doubt. And heed that, you may just want to get down with this particular project. Come on and get down with this particular project. Everything Son One just outlined is the truth. Let us move on then from August 11th. Okay, that's our August 11th deal. I got a few more announcements to make, and then we'll get on with the lesson today. Last night, I was with DJ Red Alert, 45th anniversary DJ Red Alert. Everybody was wearing white. Red Alert looked the same way he looked at 86. Okay, old man. They say, you look the same way you look when you was in your 20s, and then you now you're in your 50s or whatever. Red Alert looked like he was 50 when he was 20. And Red looked the same way today. Big up to Red Alert. And big up to Red Alert for even starting my career. That's why I was there. His son called us up. And it's a kid's thing, too. It's a kid's thing. And I say kids, his son is 40, okay? My daughter is in her 20s, okay? They're the ones that connected because, as you know, Time is doing this thing called Legacy Holders, where she's getting together all the kids from famous parents and asking them about the stresses of their life. And they got a bunch, okay? So somehow we came around to Red Alert's son. And he was honored to be part of it. But then that led to the fact, hey, my father has a 45th anniversary he's throwing. Do you want to stop by? So we went over there and actually dealt with that. And it was great. Stetsasonic, Ultramagnetic, all the usual suspects from Red Alert days, the Violators. Everyone was there. So big up to Red Alert. 45 years of DJing is what we were celebrating. 45 years of DJing. And he was still DJing in that sense. DJ Red Alert. And I think he's on Hot 97 too. I think he plays on Hot 97. But big up to DJ Red Alert in that sense. September 2nd, think it's Tuesday or whatever that day is.
Thursday.
Thursday, right? September 2nd, I'm with D Nice. We're in Prospect Park. If you're in New York, we're in Prospect Park December 2nd. It's a private, not private, the event is sold out, okay, already. So what am I talking about if you can't even get in? But just for FYI.
You can show up and listen.
Huh?
If it's in a park, you can show up and listen.
You can. I hope it is. I don't know how you pay to get into Prospect Park. It's an open park. I don't know. I'll learn when I get there. But the event is sold out. It's D Nice's event. It's September 2nd in Prospect Park. And I and others will obviously be there. 24 Hours of Peace, September 3rd. After D Nice, I run over to Hakeem Green from Channel Live. Hakeem is doing 24 Hours of Peace. He's been doing this for the last 5-10 years, I think. Maybe I know it for 5 years at least.
Very long.
He's been doing 24 Hours of Peace. Big up to Hakeem on that. He's been consistent with the city of Newark, New Jersey on that. Every year they do 24 Hours of Peace, and they bring whatever famous rappers, singers, and it's all of it. They bring out to bring the city some peace. This year I'll be the headliner on that stage. 24 Hours of Peace. That's September 3rd, Newark, New Jersey, and of course anyone's invited to that one. So there it is. September 2nd is D Nice. September 3rd is the 24 Hours of Peace. Big up to Red Alert, 45th anniversary. Shout out to hip hop culture for confirming itself, colonizing the entire calendar now. We have holidays every 3 months. There's a reason for you to celebrate your culture right now. And the Temple of Hip Hop is at the forefront of that work. Like I said, we're going to have our organizational calls about how we're going to put this event together, and we're going to move quickly. Like I'd like to do it in 2 weeks, but let's have the call first and see what's the best time to do it. But I'd like to have it done quickly. Let's move quick, get this thing done while the iron is hot. Let's strike while the iron is hot. So let's do it like that. Okay. So that's it. Son One, is there anything you want to say before we start our lesson? And do we have any breaks? Do we have any break material or?
Yes.
We have
one.
We have one. So then, okay, fine. I'll take that break when we come into it. Is there anything you want to say before we start?
Just peace and much love. I could say really what I have to say at the end of the call, I believe. So no, I'm good. Peace and much love. Thank everybody for coming through. And as always, this is the Temple of Hip Hop.
Period.
Love. Yes, indeed.
Period. Temple of Hip Hop. Okay, so as you can see, I'm in this Chinchy hotel room. I'm looking at myself, and this room looks horrible. But nonetheless, the lesson will be taught. Last week, you guys, I'm holding the Gospel of Hip Hop. Guys, get your gospel out. I'm going to pick up from where Son One read last week. Last week, we had a very emotional call in last week, heartfelt call, and there was some highlights made as well. I'm here this week. I'm able to just quickly reread Perform Listening, because we were trying to also get me to read everything throughout the book and have it as a recording. So I'm going to read through, but I'm not going to teach that lesson. That lesson was taught last week. This here, we're going to just look at the highlights. I have another highlight that wasn't highlighted last week. We're going to discuss Perform Study, which is the next lesson over, and Perform Discipline, because they actually go together. So let's get started with Perform Listening. This was last week's lesson, but Son One read that lesson in my absence. I'm here now. Let me just breeze through it real quick. You get actually a double lesson on Perform Listening, but we're going to go through all three: listening, study, and discipline. Let's get started. So Perform Listening, okay? More than being a good speaker, be a good listener. Develop the ability through practice to truly listen and comprehend the subjects, topics, concerns, and causes of others without judgment or prejudice. That's what it means to listen. Practice giving your full attention to a person. Practice the art of temporarily setting aside your own desires and concerns so that you may experience the speaker's world from within yourself. For until you are willing to enlarge yourself as to include others unconditionally, it shall be difficult for you to truly listen to another. The act of truly listening to someone requires some love or care for that person. It is difficult to truly understand another person without first making room for that person within yourself. True listening requires the total acceptance of one speaking, of the one speaking. True listening is about true sharing. It is a union of interests. This is what it means to listen. It's a union of interests. This was the highlights. Last week we highlighted 4, 5, and 6. Let me read these to you. God listens and speaks through many kinds of people as well as circumstances and situations. Perform your listening. Don't just hear. Train yourself to listen. Like your eyesight, you can direct your hearing. You actually can hear what you want to hear. You can hear the ignorance and immaturity of others, or you can hear God. The decision, freedom, is always yours. You can hear ignorance, but you don't have to listen to it. This is why it says highlight. You can hear ignorance, but you don't have to listen to it. And realize that start directing, start managing your inner self. Start managing yourself in this way. You can hear ignorance, but you don't have to listen to it. You ain't got to internalize it. You ain't got to bring it in. Direct your ear to hear and then listen to God's instructions instead of the world's insecurities. Know God's voice. It is difficult to live by faith or in spirit if you cannot truly hear or even speak the voice of your God. And notice, the gospel of hip hop says, even speak the voice of your God. Okay, not just hear God's voice, but can you speak it? That means you're listening. Know this, the brain selects certain sounds to hear, and you select out of those sounds what you want to hear. Throughout the day, direct your brain to hear the messages of God. They may come when you least expect it, from unusual and non-traditional places. Practice your spiritual sensitivity and train/use your intuitive abilities daily. You can begin with prayer, then affirmation, then visualization, then actualization. Let me say that again. You can begin with prayer, then affirmation, then visualization, then actualization. That's a solid formula. Make sure you highlight 4, 5, and 6. Moving on. Now we're on 7, page 153. Through each stage of growth, it is the discipline. Discipline. We're going to be talking about that today. It is the discipline to listen and comprehend the voice of God that provides the greatest guidance through the obstacles of the streets. Listen for your purpose and listen through your purpose. You got that? Listen for it and through it. Those who know their divine purpose can practice listening to that small inner background voice inside of them. It usually tells them what to do as well as what not to do. But most people ignore their still small voice, only to regret making a decision contrary to the will of that still small voice. In sorrow and regret, they say, I knew I should have, or something told me to. It is this cycle that must be reversed. This is the path right here. Simone has a acronym for spirit. Something pressing inside revealing its truth. Something pressing inside, revealing its truth. This is the spirit. And that's what we're talking about, that still small voice. There's a voice inside that's telling you stuff, and you ignore it. Or sometimes you go with it. They say it's your gut feeling. I got a gut feeling. But you can't really have gut feelings if your emotions are not under control. Because if your emotions are not under control, that gut feeling you're having is going to lead you in the wrong direction. That's why principles are important. Principles put your emotions in check. So you can have a gut feeling and it really be the correct gut feeling, because it's up against principles. Here now, I'm going to highlight 9 and 10. Here's highlight. We're highlighting 9 and 10 now. You must eventually develop the ability to hear clearly and obey that inner voice that warns, guides, and teaches. You must learn how to act upon the messages of God. Take some time to listen to silence. God speaks silently and quietly. Notice with that last part, God speaks silently. How do you speak silently and quietly? This is the technique you're going to have to learn. You're going to have to learn how to listen to silence. And we're going to teach it here. You're going to learn that before you finish this. You'll know. Here's 10. When a split-second decision must be made in the material world, or when you get that feeling to choose left or right, yes or no, him or her, them or me, a helpful technique to hearing and obeying your inner voice has traditionally been to act upon your first impression. This is harsh now. We're getting deep now. This is harsh. To act upon your first impression. Because sometimes you act upon your first impression and you kill somebody and go to jail. That's what I mean about your emotions. You can't act upon your first impression if your emotions are not in check. If you haven't managed yourself. You cannot just say, my first impression is this. Because your first impression is just emotional turmoil or out of control emotions or whatever it is, ego or whatever, whatever it is that you think you are. If that's not put in check, balanced against principles, balanced against wisdom, knowing how to make the right decisions, knowing what's right from wrong, knowing what's real from fake, that's wisdom. If you don't have that, that gut feeling is going to ruin you. If you don't have that piece. And so here we're talking about the first impression. And this is for those that walk the path. Let me put that disclaimer on it as well. Same thing with the gift of Patah, divine speech. If you're not walking the path, then this doesn't apply to you. Okay. But if you're walking the path, then this applies totally to you. You better pay attention. Okay. This applies to you totally. That the tradition has been to act upon your first impression. It takes courage to do that too. Clear-mindedness, to act on your first instinct. So again, 9 and 10. Here's 9 and here's 10. You must eventually develop the ability to hear clearly and obey that inner voice that warns, guides, and teaches. You must learn how to act upon the messages of God. And notice the spelling of God. Take some time to listen to silence. God speaks silently and quietly. When a split-second decision must be made in the material world, or when you get that feeling to choose left or right, yes or no, him or her, them or me, a helpful technique to hearing and obeying your inner voice has traditionally been to act upon your first impression. For those who live spiritual lives, that's the key. It got to be that on it. For those who live spiritual lives, usually it is the wiser self that advises us first. Then the younger self doubts the advice of the wiser self in the decision-making process. Even if your first impression or feeling proves to be an immediate failure, always remember that what appears to be a failure in the present isn't always a failure in the future. Trust God. Here it says, trust in God, and the "in" is underlined. Trust inside of God, in the bosom of God, have your trust. Just because you cannot immediately see the success of your decision does not mean that your decision has led you to failure. Trust in God. Those who truly live in spirit and take their gospel seriously are guided and protected even when they cannot see it or do not even know it. Trust God. All throughout life, you will be guided toward the fulfillment of your divine purpose. Even when you appear to be lost, you are moving toward your divine purpose. Even when you believe that you are late, you shall escape danger and arrive right on time. Even when you lose, you shall win. Trust God. Even when adversity arises, fear not. Indeed, you are moving toward your divine purpose. When things are taken from you or damaged, or it appears that you cannot get the things that you want, do not be discouraged. It is for your own protection and development. Even the wild things that happen to you. Imagine, even the things, the uncomfortable things that happen to you are for your own good. Those who do not yet know their life purpose should ask their God to reveal it to them. Search your heart and listen. God has already given you purpose. Look around your environment and into what you do best. Listen out for those activities that truly make you the happiest. You are already being called to your purpose right now. Do not be discouraged. Release all doubt. Listen and be guided. Perform listening. Okay, so that was last week's lesson. And it's really self-contained, this is really self-contained, self-explanatory. Perform listening, different from hearing. Perform listening. Respond to your hearing or not. Manage yourself. Manage your hearing. Choose what you want to hear. You don't have to hear nonsense all day. I mean, you don't have to listen to nonsense all day. You can hear it, but you don't have to listen to it. It's like these sirens going by, EMS workers, police, fire. Woo, 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 woo. You hear it, but you're not listening to it. You hear it. Now, there's some people who listening. Oh, yo, do you hear the sound? Yo, look at the sound. You're listening. Or if the truck is behind you, going woo, 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 you gotta listen. Oh, I gotta deal with this. But in life, you don't have to hear people's ignorance. You don't have to hear the radio. You don't have to hear anything. You choose to listen to whatever you're hearing. You don't have to listen to this stuff. You could choose to listen to that. That's the point to this particular lesson. So let's take our first break. Now. And I'm going to sip this water. This is the Temple of Hip Hop. And let's take our first break right now. We'll be right back. I am KRS-ONE and Sun One. Take it away. And of course, when we come back, we'll be on Perform Study. We'll start at page 154 when we actually come back. And so, real talk. Now, the question is loaded.
I know.
Because when you say, has the culture expanded? Mm-hmm. Has the culture expanded? The answer is yes. Okay. Yes. Hip-hop as culture is doing phenomenally well, better than I ever thought. There's a whole bunch of expectations I had. We surpassed that, okay? Yeah. As culture. Yeah. And when I say culture, I'm meaning communal influence on foreign people. Mm-hmm. Communal influence. No other culture, we hear it all the time. Hip-hop conquered the world without busting one shot. Everything that the CIA ever wanted, hip-hop got for free. Everything that a standing army took from the indigenous people of the world gave us freely. Wow. Native Americans are breaking on their own.
indigenous dudes in Australia spitting the raw on their own. Nobody told them, nobody forced them, nobody nothing. They saw a language, they saw a universal language and jumped right on it. Dudes in China, I saw a Tibetan Buddhist monk rapping. Now, how you get out of the monastery rapping, okay? You know, get back to your meditation.
And they're under pressure in Tibet. There's a lot of,
there's mad pressure. But see, anywhere pressure is, anywhere oppression is, there's hip hop. And there you can understand the language. So it's like, I could imagine, you know, when we were coming up, we had a war on terror. Remember that?
I remember. 20 years in, it's 2021.
We used to have something called a war on terror. Well, guess what? Not only was the government, U.S. government, using hip-hop to coax and co-opt and coerce the revolutionary youth coming up in Eritrea, Egypt, Tunisia, really all over Africa and Europe. They're using hip-hop. But at the same time, so are the terrorists or freedom fighters, the so-called opposition. They using hip-hop too. Now look at the power of this. You got one government trying to use hip-hop to curb people in one way, the other group trying to curb people in another way. Both, though, who's the real government then?
The government is whoever has the mic and the speaker that's the loudest.
Then the government of hip-hop is out here right now on stage, and other government officials have come forward to make sure that was confirmed.
Yeah, and then they get it, they bask in the glory a little bit.
Of course they should.
Yeah.
Chuck Schumer's the man.
Yeah.
I don't stand by no politicians, okay?
Right.
I'm a staunch critic of every last one of them.
Right.
But Chuck Schumer?
He sure pissed Trump off a few times.
Man, look, every time we called that dude, he came.
Really? Is that right?
That's straight up.
Like, we being...
Herc, what the story he said on the stage? True
Yeah.
story.
Okay.
They throwing Cool Herc out the building.
Right.
How you throwing Cool Herc out the building?
And
No, he called up Schumer. Schumer threw the dude out the building.
that's what's up.
Oh yeah, you get respect. You get respect.
Right. Action. Speak louder. Yeah.
You get real respect on that.
Yeah.
Then I called him.
Oh, for real?
20 years ago, I was taking hip-hop to the United Nations.
Okay.
Declaring hip-hop an international culture at the United Nations under Kofi Annan.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
To get there, the UN said you had to have a UN NGO,
Right.
a church organization, and the U.S. government if you wanted to step in here.
Okay.
I went right to the Riverside Church. They on my back.
Okay.
I went straight to, after the church, we went to Chuck Schumer.
Okay.
Chuck Schumer gave us not only a letter, but a proclamation
Thank you, Chuck.
that said, this is what it is. Okay? I still got the proclamation. He made it to me.
Wow.
Okay?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That man walking around, okay?
Right.
This is what he's doing.
Yeah. It's not just a photo
It's
op.
not just a photo op. It's
Okay.
real talk.
Okay.
Okay, real shit going down.
Right.
And then on top of that, today, they declared Hip Hop August 11th got some kind of recognition.
Yes.
I'm running around complaining. Why New York don't want to do more for hip hop? Well, today I get a little relief.
That's what's up.
A little relief today.
That's what's up.
DJ Cool Herc first mixed and matched down at 1520 Sedgwick Avenue in the Bronx, birthplace of hip hop. And this resolution now makes August 11th National Hip Hop Day. Pass the Senate.
What has to happen for that to be a law now? Is that gonna?
It's done.
It's done?
Took the copy.
Why is hip hop important, Senator Schumer?
Started in 1520 Sedgwick Avenue and it's all over the world.
And what does it mean to you to be here today,
It's a
Senator
great day.
Schumer?
It's just a great day.
Why?
This is New York. This shows New York bounces back no matter what. A year ago we couldn't have had this. Now we're all here enjoying one of the greatest things the Bronx created.
Yes.
A little relief. It's not the full glass, but it's something.
It's a sip to keep us
To
going.
keep us
Yeah,
going,
yeah,
to
yeah.
keep us, and sometimes that's all you need.
That's right.
So, when you say that, you know, how has hip hop manifested or developed over these years?
Yeah.
The culture
Right.
is on point.
Yes.
Now, here's the other side.
Okay.
Rap music. That's what's pulling everything down. Rap music.
And you would distinguish between rap and what you do how? What's the difference?
I'm hip hop.
Yeah.
I'm a MC.
Okay.
Period. Like Kaz, like Melly Mel.
Right.
like
Yeah.
Treacherous 3.
Yeah.
Like them dudes.
Yeah.
Like Kid Capri.
Sure.
Okay? Like that's where I'm at. All the time. Or every day, all day, every day, all day.
Right.
Okay, that's where I'm at. That hip hop is doing phenomenally well globally.
But don't get it confused with the rap music.
Don't get it confused with Hot 97.
Okay, say it like it is.
Then it gets tapered off in America with this corporate, with this box. We're gonna put you in this box and put y'all in that box, and you're East Coast and you're West Coast, and you're old school and you're new school, and you're this and you're that, and then suddenly now we got an industry, and now we're this other thing that is like what we was, but it's not exactly, but it is, but it isn't. And now here we are now today. So that's why I say the culture is doing fine.
Yes.
Look at Slick Rick. He got a brand new green. What is that sick shit he drives?
That's a lovely ride.
He got a green. His car matches clothes. He drove that car to match his clothes. Okay, that's hip hop. Right there. That's doing very, very well.
And you heard from KRS-ONE Blastmaster.
Get a shot of Slick Rick's green Range Rover.
KRS-ONE.
That's hold up, Kid Capri.
Oh, here we go. Where's my man? Okay, so yo, this is KRS-ONE. Big up to Boom Shot all day. Big up to Rob Kenner all day. Here's his book right here. And of course, big up to Nipsey all day. So I got mad big ups right now. So here's the book, Marathon Don't Stop, The Life and Times of Nipsey Hussle. And this is by the one and only Rob Kenner. And I can vouch for Rob Kenner because I had actually passed the mic to him years ago and back and forth. So not only is he a writer, he's an MC. And one of the originals too, who was getting his teeth cut in small clubs and stuff in New York years ago. So here's the book. Make sure you run out and get it. And big up to Boom Shop. Boom Shakata.
Yeah, my bad. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was coming from the bathroom and I wasn't sure how in sync my phone was with the thing, so I just ran and pressed the button.
That was it. That was it. That's our break. I was sitting here watching this for a minute. I was like, wow, I forgot I was even sitting here teaching. But that little interview with Rob Kenner is very interesting. A lot of what I said there, I'm saying here. I was noticing that what it is, but it's the truth. It is what it is, and it's interesting. It's a nice little clip there. You got the show Chuck Schumer there, doing his things, shouting hip hop and this kind of thing. And it's important. As I was watching that, I was just remembering that we got to take hip hop way more seriously than what it is now. Of course, we take hip hop more seriously than the average person, but this is why our ceremony is important. This is why the promotion of hip hop in this way is important. That's
right.
why.
And he gave the answer as to why the government feels it's important.
Yeah.
He said, listen, it started in the Bronx and now it's all over the world. This is why it's important. It was simple and plain.
Simple.
They know why they feel hip hop is important themselves, and they recognize it's exactly what hip hop did.
You know, somebody asked, I saw somebody ask, they said, how does it become law? He says it is.
Right.
This is the copy of it right here.
That's right.
Think about that for one hot minute. This is law. So if we don't enforce our own law, oh man. Okay, back to the lesson. I'm on page 154, and we're going to start perform study. Perform study. I was fighting with my hair here. Perform study. Let's get into this. Perform study. Study the progression. Study the progression of your own life experiences. This is the beginning of your study, not a book, not even this one. Okay. First, study the progression of your own life experiences. Okay, got that? Study the progression of your own life experiences. Write them down. Study your life and practice repeating the actions of your own success. Study God's ways. Study God's voice. Study God's laws. And most of all, study God's love and selfless care. Familiarize yourself through study with the way of the Great Spirit. Every week, investigate on some mental level a new idea that you are unfamiliar with or only partially familiar with. Design your style of conversation through study. Seek out new spiritual, philosophical, and political books, seminars, cassettes. Notice I have cassettes in there. That's how far back this was written. Cassettes, compact discs. I'm just revealing some of the language. Just bear with me here. Videos and other information that specifically builds your spiritual and political knowledge. I just want to stop there real quick because 50 years from now, this will even sound more strange than what I'm reading to you right now. Look at what I'm saying. Books. I hope books are still around in 50 years. Seminars will be around. Cassettes are already gone. Compact discs are gone. Videos are gone. And other information that specifically builds your spiritual and political knowledge is gone. Okay. This is the importance of preserving stuff and knowing where to go to get knowledge from. Okay. An infinite, all-knowing, all-seeing, omnipresent God does not speak one language or through one religion or political party. God is infinitely limitless and speaks through a variety of sources. Do you hear that? Okay. Therefore, hip hoppers are encouraged to explore and respect all spiritual materials. This is a highlight. All spiritual materials, thoughts, people, and places. Such a study expands the spiritual experience of the hip hopper and builds character. Right. 3 and 4 are together. Let me highlight that. 3 and 4 are together. I'm going to read them together. I just read 3. Let me come back to 4. This is very important. Here, 3 and 4 are together. We're highlighting 3 and 4. Listen to what's being said. Therefore, hip hoppers are encouraged to explore and respect all spiritual materials, thoughts, people, and places. Respect all spiritual materials, spiritual thoughts, spiritual people, and spiritual places. Respect that. Such a study expands the spiritual experience of the hip hopper and builds character. Perfect yourself. This is going to be a discussion today. Perfect yourself. For the more you perfect yourself, the more perfect you shall become. You cannot expect spiritual results in the physical world if you are spiritually unstudied. For if you are truly serious about enhancing your spiritual reality and you truly value the presence of God in your life, then you must take your spiritual study time seriously, like you're doing right now. Don't just study this gospel. Study all gospels. Know this, the true hip-hopper lives this gospel and studies all others. Did you hear that? Lives this gospel, but studies all others, knows all the gospels. 3 and 4 highlight. Moving now to 5. Watch television shows that inform as well as entertain. Do not waste your time criticizing the use of television, computers, motion pictures, print media, the internet, and radio. Simply choose very carefully the programs you expose yourself and your family to. Whatever the program, seek to create a lesson out of it. Extract the hidden meaning behind all that you are exposed to. Create meaning, even when there appears to be none. Know this, to the pure in heart, all things are pure, but to the troubled, all things are troubling. See only God and experience only peace. Look for the lesson, even if one does not appear to exist. That's the basis of study as well. You know, look for the lesson, even if you know, even if you don't even see a lesson, look for one. You can make a lesson out of anything. So it's, again, manage yourself, direct your mind. Don't let your mind direct you. You, the being, directs the mind, which directs the brain, which directs the body. So be the being, be the hip hopper, and say, no, I'm going to perfect myself. I'm going to perfect myself. And we're going to get into that in the discipline part. But right now, look at what's being said here. Look for the lesson, even if one does not appear to exist. That's the same as listening. You can hear stuff all day, but you choose what you're going to listen to. Everything's being played. You know, God's word is all through the world, all in society. But are you listening for it? Same thing with sight. You can see principle and God and ancestors everywhere if you're looking for it. If you're not looking for it, you ain't going to see it. And look at that. If you're not looking for it, you're not going to see it. Isn't that logical? I'm not looking for it, so I don't see it. So if you're not looking for God, you don't see God. That's how God becomes invisible to you or to the person, to the atheist. God, because you ain't looking for God. You already said, I don't believe in God. So then there is no God for you. For you, there's no God. But we realize, if you go with quantum mechanics, if you say science, let's go to the science. If you go to the science, you know that we are only making up our reality. Reality's not out here. Reality is in here. You can only see out here with the eyes you have in here. Okay, without this, you don't know nothing. Okay, without this, you can't hear nothing, you can't smell nothing, you can't talk nothing, no, it's all here. So we know this now. We know that the viewer, the observer, affects what is being observed. So if you don't believe in God, that's a choice. If you don't believe in spirit, that's a choice. You don't believe in ancestors, that's your choice. And your choice is going to make you see the reality that your choice is. Your choice is what you're seeing. You're not seeing reality, you're seeing your choices. So even on the flip side, you can even say, well, then does God really exist? And the answer is that the question is wrong. The question is, do you want God to exist? Not does God exist? If God don't exist, then I ain't got nothing to do with God. If God exists, then I'll go with God. No, that's a slave's mentality. A free man's mentality is, do I want God to exist? And my answer is yes. So I see God because I want God to exist. So I see God. Nothing wrong with that. Don't matter whether God exists or not. Do I comprehend the concept? If I can comprehend the concept of God, then God exists for me. And now, where's your evidence of that? Where is your proof of that? How does that make you a better person? How do you manifest that knowing in your real life? Does God help you, protect you, guide you, heal you, get you out of the bind, get you out of your situation, lift you up? If that's not happening for you, then you are playing games with your mind. You are playing games with whatever you believe about this or believe about that. But anybody walking with God is going to have the results of that walk. And not just because God is real, which I believe God is real, but not just because of that. But let's just keep it to the science. Let's just keep it to the mind, the brain, and how it functions. Anything you believe is going to be real. So do you want God to be real? You got to make God real. And God is real. You don't have to make God real. I'm here to confirm to you, there are higher intelligences than just us. And that's what we relate to as divine and of God. Play games if you want. Back to the gospel. So know this, and I'm reading the end of this again. To the pure in heart, all things are pure, but to the troubled, all things are troubled. See only God and experience only peace. If you see only peace, you experience only peace. You see war, you experience war. You get only what you experience. You experience only what you give. You get only what you give. Reap, sow, that whole thing. Okay. Look for the lesson, even if one does not appear to exist. We just went over that. Expand your comprehension. Do not just study knowledge. Create knowledge out of the experiences of your own life. Add to the things that you already know. Do not just study to know. Bring your knowing to your study. Study what you need to know. That's very important. Study what you need to know. Don't just study because somebody told you you should be studying this. Study what you need to know. And if you're in school listening to me right now, go ahead and study whatever you in school is study for, but make sure you study what you need to know. What's in school is not what you need to know. That you don't need to know that. You need to know how to eat, to live. You need to know how to breathe, to think. You need to know how to keep yourself clean, because even more than ever now, viruses are running around. You got to wash your hands more often. You got to take more showers. You got to not touch so many surfaces. You got to be cognizant. This is what you need to know. This is what you need to know. What foods are good for you and what are not. What vitamins you should be taking and what, other beverages you shouldn't be taking. That's what you need to know. If you have children, how do I take care of my children? Money knowledge as well. I want to buy a house. I want to do that. You need to know how to manage your money. You need to know how to manage your health. Or should I just say, you need to know the H law. Health, love, awareness, and wealth. H law. Health, love, awareness, and wealth. You need to know about your health. You need to know about love and compassion. You need an awareness. You need wealth. Study that. Study that. Whatever you're studying, make sure you're studying health, compassion, love, awareness, intelligence, and wealth. Money, good living. Okay? Make sure these are, because if no one ever tells you this, you go through life like everybody else. I was told to study this, so I studied it because they said it's going to make me better. You study it, it don't make you no better. They told me to study this because I'm going to get the job. You study it, you don't get the job. Now, that's the way life goes. But when you're studying spiritual knowledge, what you got to realize is that, no, this is guaranteed. This is guaranteed knowledge right here, right now. That's why we're teaching it. And that's why it's important that you get it. This is guaranteed knowledge, guaranteed to work. This is what works. Love works. Hate don't work. I don't know what else to say. Hate don't work. Anybody who has ever hated has came on the other side of the hate feeling horrible themselves. Even sitting in a prison, sitting in a jail cell, sitting in an old folks' home, sitting in these places because you hated your whole life. All you did was push hate. That's all you did. You didn't like this. You didn't like that. You was arguing with this one, arguing with that one, pushed your kids away, pushed your family away, pushed everything away because you was just hating. That don't lead to nowhere. That's common sense. But you was loving. You was compassionate the whole time. You was embracing the whole time. Even if you're wrong, you still did the right thing. And you're going to live in peace. But if no one ever comes and tells you that health is what you should study, not George Washington or Abraham Lincoln or this stupid nonsense. You should be studying the heart, the lungs, the kidney, the brain, how it functions. These things are on and in you. That's what you should be studying or including in your studies. Study what you need to know. Not what somebody tells you need to know. Study what you need to know. All true hip hoppers should know something of world history. This is also a highlight. Go ahead and highlight 8. You're gonna highlight 8 and 9. 8 and 9. 8 and 9. And really, I could say 10 because they're all together. 8, 9, and 10. Go ahead. 8, 9, and 10. Go ahead and highlight 8, 9, and 10. Look at these paragraphs very closely. This is straight instruction. Here we go. All true hip hoppers should know something of world history, commerce and trade, philosophy, politics, art, music, medicine, religion, geology, science, mathematics, psychology, public speaking, cooking, cleaning, parenting, and this gospel of hip hop. Now, if that list seems long to you, it's not. When you live the hip hop lifestyle, this is what comes to you. This is what you get trained in. You get trained in world history, commerce and trade, philosophy, politics, and art, music, medicine, religion, geology, science, and mathematics. When you live the culture, this is all that you're getting. You don't have to study individually all of these, and you can. You can. That's what this also means. Psychology, public speaking, cooking, cleaning, parenting, and this gospel of hip hop. Notice that this list I found to be successful for myself and for others. So I included it into our gospel, but this is basically what I know. That's basically what this is. You have to know something of world history, something of science, something of, be able to at least explain the definitions of these words, at least. Be able to have a conversation. If you can have a conversation on any of this list, you're what is called cosmopolitan, a person of the world, a rounded person, a universal person. You could land in Greece and have a conversation. You could land in Africa, have a conversation. You could land in China, Australia, anywhere in America, England, Britain. You know, you can land anywhere, and in the back of a cab, somebody, yo, where you from? Yo, man, I'm from Jam. So what's going on? Well, you know, did you know that Sirius B was over us about a month ago? And oh, really? You know, you could start up a conversation on geology. You know, the earthquake and the tectonic plates, or whatever. I'm just jumping to that. You know, science, and then this interesting part about cooking, cleaning, and parenting. That you know what time it is. Any father is doing this. Okay, any father is cooking, cleaning, and parenting. And if you're a hip hop father, you got your gospel already with you. So the idea here is this is what should be taught when we open our public schools. This is what we're going to teach our children. This is a correction to the public school system's curriculum of learning. This is a correction. This is what we need to know. Here now, 9. The true hip hopper is familiar with and knows how to use a variety of holy books, standard dictionaries, the solar and lunar calendars, his country's constitution or her country's constitution, and the interstate highway and road maps of his country, her country. This knowledge is very helpful and empowering to the free, traveling, entrepreneurial hip hopper. And this is solid knowledge. That's why you are highlighting this right now. If no one ever tells you this, you could go through 20, 30 years of your life bucket, not even knowing why things are happening the way or why things can't happen. You don't have this. Somebody didn't sit you down and tell you this. Here's what you need to know. You got to be familiar with holy books. Imagine people walking around, never picked up the Bhagavad Gita, don't know nothing about the Bible, don't know nothing about the Torah, nothing about the Quran. The Quran, nothing. Never even picked it up. Nothing. Don't never seen a word of it. And they're walking amongst Muslims every day, walking amongst Muslim ideologies, walking amongst Muslim symbols all through society. Never picked up the Quran. There's Muslims and others from other faiths. Never picked up the Bible. Jesus everywhere. Crosses all over this country. Never chose to pick up the Bible and read it. There's people in this country that never read the Bible. Is that true? Well, these holy books, to have a rounded education, they know the holy books. This is the foundation of much of what you're studying comes from out these holy books. And of course, the dictionaries, you know, we study that here. We bring the dictionary to you, Oxford, American Heritage, Webster, whatever, the dictionaries. And we do teach that here as well. You notice we go through the earlier lessons, we went through the dictionaries and so on. We've been traveling, so, you know, we're not hooked up. I didn't put the HTML to this thing yet and do a PowerPoint presentation. So when we do our PowerPoints, that's when the dictionaries come out. And we do show you also how to use these dictionaries, how to get through them, the symbols in them, et cetera, et cetera. Those of you who have been on the call with us, you've already been through this. You already know what it is. But that's why it's here. You got to know the holy books. You got to know the dictionaries, the solar and lunar calendars. You know, we were talking about that with the summer solstice, the 3 moons. Simone and Sun One was talking about the moon. Last, it was like 2 weeks ago or so on. We was talking about the new moon for women, really for everybody, really for water, period. But women in particular gravitate toward the lunar. The moon has an effect on women in a phenomenal way. So that new moon happening over a 3-day period is off the lunar calendar. And again, Temple of Hip Hop, we do that here as well. So these are the things you have to know. And then, of course, the country's constitution, highway maps, all of this type of stuff. Throughout this study, you know, we go through all of that. We go through maps, we go through the U.S. Constitution, the Declaration of Independence. All of that becomes part of what it is we're studying. So just stay tuned with us, and we'll be going over this too again within that. 10, visit and visualize your public library. Visit and use your public library if you are privileged to be near one. And notice the word privileged to be near one, okay? Be prepared to copy information and take notes at all times. Walk with a tape recorder. Okay, I got, well, I have my joint up here somewhere. Oh, here we go. Well, whatever. I'll just grab it. It's right there. Yeah. Just to give you this is a standard joint right here. See that? Tascam. I walk around with this. I hit this button real boom, boom. See it? Hit my buttons like that. I'm bugging. Okay, right here, see? Right there, I got that. I hit this, I record, I play. Okay, Tascam, nice mics. This is the bomb right here. This is what it is. Try to get yourself one of these. They have cheaper ones, of course, and smaller ones that can actually fit in your pocket and all that type of stuff. But walk around with a tape recorder so you can grab interviews, grab knowledge. It's been so invaluable to me. Even as an MC, ideas come to me, whoop, hit them right on the tape recorder and go back later and take them off and this kind of thing. But when I'm traveling in the world, you know, I hit that tape recorder. A wealth of knowledge goes right into your tape recorder. So highlight 8, 9, and 10. Highlight 8, 9, and 10. That is knowledge. That is a study. That does put your foot on the right path to what should be known. The foundation, like this is what you should know. Not Abraham Lincoln, not this stupidness that they're giving us every day, say you should know this. No, you should know what I just outlined to you. 11. Study is about the building and knowing of oneself. It is not about the building of state institutions and the knowing of others and their achievements. That's not study. Study is about getting educated. It is about the building of oneself, as Ernest Thompson, philosopher, Thompson Stanton, philosopher, once said, quote, manhood, not scholarship, is the first aim of education, end quote. Let's say it again. Manhood or womanhood, adulthood, not scholarship, is the first aim of education. The first aim of education is maturity, to bring you from a childhood state to an adult state. And usually that childhood state to the adult state has to do with setting aside emotional fears and emotional insecurities and dealing with things as they are. That's an adult. An adult is a person who doesn't have to cry out all the time when they're angry or want, you know, a kid, when a kid is hungry, the kid just cry out screaming. No control over oneself. When a kid is angry or, you know, no control over sadness, they cry it out. No control over anger. Oh, I just want to rage. That's childish because we can see children doing it. There's no criticism. We're not saying, oh, you're being childish. It's like we're pointing a finger at you. Look at what a child does. Okay, that's what children do. Adults deal with their hurt a little differently. Why? Because the adult has learned to manage his or her emotions. Manage. Don't get rid of them. You can't just say, I have no emotion. That's not human. You have no soul if you're not emotional. You have no soul if you can't empathize. Okay? We're not getting rid of no emotions. You can't look down on emotions and say, oh, emotions is the reason why people are all messed up. That's not true either. What's true is, like intellect and logic and reason, you got to put these things in their place, in their box. Sometimes logic and reason don't matter. We don't need logic and reason here. That's not what this is. You got to be able to put your logic, reason in its place and deal with the emotion right now. Sometimes you got to put that emotion aside and go straight to the logic. I just want facts and truth right now. Is this what it is? Then let's move on what it is. Why all this emotion? Why we got to dream and think and feel and all it is? Let's just go take the garbage out. Let's just go rake the leaves. Let's just go drive the car. Why I got to be emotional to go to the supermarket and pick up something I need to eat? You know, these kind of things. So you got to manage yourself. Put your intellect, logic, reason, rationale, evidence, facts, proof, all that, put it in its place. Emotions, feelings, empathy, sympathy. Come on now. Soul, even love. Put it in its place. You can never be harmed like this. You'll set up a barrier. No one will ever be able to harm you internally when you manage yourself, when you put yourself together. Put yourself together. So that was a performed study. And that's what a study is according to hip hop. This is what a study is. And we outlined how to study, what to study, and what to study. As far as we're concerned, what we're going to teach our children. what we're going to make sure we know. When we build our edifice, our building, we will be teaching these in the building, no doubt. This is what we need to know to build as a nation, to build as a culture, even as a human being. So let's now move on to perform discipline, the fourth performance in the divine performance. Keep in mind, all of these are performances. You got to act this out. Perform discipline. Whoo! Now, this is the deep one here. Every day we are faced with opportunities to perform discipline, or in this instance, self-control. See, like I said, the kid has no self-control. Okay, none. The adult has self-control. This is what the difference is between a child and an adult. One can control himself and the other can't. That's it. That's it. Can you control yourself? And the levels by which you control yourself is the levels by which you are mature. Perform discipline. Every day we are faced with opportunities to perform discipline or self-control. The attuned hip-hopper uses moments of temptation to practice restraint, moments of fear to practice faith, and moments of anger and anxiety to practice patience and inner calmness. These are divine performances. And I say it with a smirk on my face because I had to live this out. Let me say it to you again. The attuned hip-hopper uses moments of temptation, woo, to perform restraint. And that's how I overcame temptation. When the temptation comes, that's the moment you use restraint. Like the reason for the temptation is for you to use restraint. See, once you come to that realization, come to the realization that the temptation comes not for me to fall into it, not for me to say, I'm just going to eat it, or whatever the temptation is. I'm just going to go ahead and do the temptation. No, it's a new discipline. And that's what it's called, discipline. When a temptation arises, I don't see it as, oh God, another temptation. How am I going to fight this? When the temptation arises, that is the signal that you are to use restraint. Temptation is not used now to go in. Temptation is used as the signal of restraint. You get it? Temptation is used as the signal for restraint. This is the piece. Click it in your mind. Turn your brain into this right now. As my friend Professor Z would say, you need to be brainwashed. Because he will say, brainwash? Oh, the cultural meaning of brainwash is that somebody's indoctrinating you with some nonsense that you don't even need to know, or it's against what it is you are about. You're being brainwashed. You're being taught something. You're being conditioned to somebody else's ideas. That's called brainwashing, okay? And that ain't what we do in here, not at all. But with Z's way, my friend, Professor Z, teaches at Lincoln University, African Studies, tenure professor, all that. He says we have to be brainwashed because over many years of study, your brain gets dirty. And when your brain gets dirty with colonial ideas, fake religions, all this type of stuff, when your brain gets dirty, you have to wash it. So don't we all need a brain cleansing? Don't we all need to be brainwashed? That's what happens when you talk to scholars. Anyway, so let's go ahead and get brainwashed. Let's wash our brain. Because the point of the matter is that you got to use, a tuned hip-hopper uses moments of temptation to practice restraint. Use moments of fear. When you are afraid, that's the moment to get your faith up, to just go, yo, I ain't afraid. I'm just going to do it. Moments of fear to practice faith. Moments of anger and anxiety to practice patience and calm. When you are angry, when somebody's playing you, when you know, whatever it is, or your anxiety, you're just being anxious about something. That's the signal to bring the calm in. Anger is the signal for calm. It is not the signal for more anger. Anxiety is the signal for calm. It is not the signal for more anxiety. These are divine performances. In all actions, use moderation. This is the key to discipline, moderation. Temptation, fear, anger, etc. can be used as tests that strengthen your mind and body. This is the realization you got to come to. Don't look at these things as bad. It says temptation, fear, and anger. Oh, they're bad. Stay away from them. No, you don't. Use this. Temptation, fear, and anger, etc., can be used as tests that strengthen your mind and body. Seek balance. Do not overindulge, for this act leads to suffering. Overindulgence. And keep in mind, the word evil. People say evil means bad, wicked. No, it don't. The word evil means overstepping one's boundaries. That's the original definition of evil. To overstep due measure. That's the quote of the Oxford English. Overstepping due measure. So when you overstep your boundaries, you're being evil. When you go outside of your limitations, you're being evil. And that's also debatable too, because if a colonist puts a limitation on you and you go outside that colonist limitation, the colonist society gonna say you evil. So to go beyond your limitations is to be evil in a colonial society. But also in nature, to go beyond your capabilities, to go beyond your character even, is growth. Is growth in nature. In fact, the word super means above, beyond. So to be superhuman is to go beyond human. But in a colonial society, that's evil. So keep in mind that even though I'm saying evil, the original definition of evil is to overstep due measure. Also keep in mind who's writing that. Okay. And keep in mind what they're trying to say evil is, to keep people in check and in control. But we can look at the evil definition and just say, in your own mind, evil, overstepping due measure, when you go beyond what you're supposed to be doing, not go beyond like you're growing and developing. I'm gonna go from 10 to 15. I'm going beyond 10 because I'm growing. Not that, but going beyond moderation, greed. What is it? Desperateness. I gotta have, that thing. That anxiety to get, to have. This thing, that's overstepping your limits. You're not living according to your means, constantly wanting. These are evils, okay? Constantly wanting, not being satisfied with what you got. But at the same time, look at the philosophical argument. If you're satisfied with what you got, you don't grow. But if you are not satisfied with what you got, you're not grateful. But if you don't grow, you don't get nothing new. You don't get nothing. Look at this. That's why I'm spending some time here, because you got to take a look at. Don't just say, "Oh, it's evil." No, it's not evil. Evil's not all evil. All of evil is not evil. Okay, keep that in mind too. That's why we say get familiar with the dictionary. I should have added encyclopedia to it too, but get familiar with the dictionary. Okay, know what these words really mean and don't get duped by society slang. Like the slang of a colonial society got you believing that what they saying stupid stuff out their own mouth, it becomes the reality for you. No, you can't live life like that. At least not a successful hip-hop life like that. So, temptation, fear, anger can be used as tests to strengthen your mind and body. Seek balance. Do not overindulge. But this act leads to suffering. Control yourself. Self-control is your only friend, while temptation is your only enemy. Never forget this. Never forget this. A hip-hop's spiritual strength is not measured by what can be resisted in the flesh. It is measured by that which is resisted in the mind. In order to change or modify your behavior, you must first change or modify the picture you hold of yourself in your mind. Okay? What is your perception of yourself? What do you mean to you? How valuable are you to you? How serious do you take yourself? This is the key to discipline. This is the key to discipline. Not restraint and I'm just going to do it because even though it hurts me, I'm going to do it. No. First, how serious do you take you? How serious do you take yourself first? Any form of self-respect here? Because this is what's going to make you disciplined. This is what's going I'm just not going to eat the cake. No, I respect myself. I want the cake, okay? But the last time I ate it, I got heartburn and I didn't like how I felt. I want to respect myself. So I'm not doing the cake because I respect myself. You see, this is the click. How much discipline proves that you respect yourself? People always yell, I respect myself. I respect myself. I respect my... But then you look at their actions, and their actions do not respect them. They're not respecting themselves. Look how they dress. Look how they talk. Look what they eat. You're not respecting yourself. Well, you can say it out your mouth all day, but you're not respecting yourself. How do you respect yourself? That's shown in discipline. Discipline. Can you control yourself? Can you have any, do you have any agency, any hold onto you? And that's what proves it. So I'm on paragraph 3, page 157. Paragraph 3. On the inside, what do you look like to you? Do you say often, ain't nobody perfect? If this is how you see yourself, imperfect, then you shall never be even close to perfect. Your affirmation is final. The world shall have its way with you. Temptations of all sorts attack unperfected people constantly. Such people actually weaken themselves by affirming and believing that they are imperfect. It's like saying to the world, come and get me. Such an affirmation leads nowhere. Okay, nowhere. Ain't nobody perfect. I'm only human. Only God can judge me. That's all silly talk, okay? All that silly talk. Let's get with the adult talk. Only God can judge me. You can't. What an affirmation you just put on your life. Only God can. In fact, what you want is for me to judge you. Because if God judges you, you're finished, okay? And people do not understand that. What you want is for me to judge you, okay? That's what you want, because my judgment don't come with your life attached to it, okay? My judgment is my little judgment. Your life is not attached to my judgment. So them people you hear saying, only God can judge me, then they go and do stupid stuff. They condemn themselves, and you see it in their life. You see it in their life. They condemn themselves. Only God can judge me. Okay. Okay. I leave the door open for my mother to judge me as well, for my father to judge me as well, for my students to judge me as well, for apprentice, you, the temple of God. I leave the door open for you to judge me as well. I'd rather you judge me than God. No doubt. I'll take your judgment all day and try to correct myself and do what I got to do to raise and grow my own self. I'll take your judgment any day. Tell me, criticize me all day. But when God starts criticizing, no, dude, that's not, you don't invite that, okay? So, but those are the words of people who don't live spiritual lives. They don't walk with God, so they don't know. They just mouthing. Same thing with, you ain't perfect. or I ain't perfect. Ain't nobody perfect. Silly, dumb talk. You are perfect. You're perfect exactly the way you are. In fact, the only things that can function are those things that are perfect. If you are functioning, you are perfect. And then you have to say, I ain't perfect compared to what? Or compared to who? What makes you imperfect? What exactly makes you imperfect other than your own guilt in your own self? You saying, I'm imperfect because you might have said, did, or been somewhere you ain't supposed to say, do, or be. So now you get guilty unto yourself and say, I'll never be perfect. Why? Because I slapped the shit out of this person over here last week. So I can't be perfect. Why? Because I drank that shit. I can't be perfect. Why? Because I stole. All that's on you. All that's on you. That's you condemning you. Okay? And the more you condemn yourself, the more you are condemned. Period. God has no place for judgment at all. God is a teacher. Life is a teacher. The universe is a teacher. That's all. Get the lesson. That's what the universe want to know. Do you understand? And until you understand, I'm going to keep bringing this situation to you until you understand it. Now, once you understand it, the situation goes away. That's it. That's it. Learning, knowledge, that is the point of the universe. Learning, knowledge, awareness. That's the whole point. So, who's perfect? If you come from the universe, if the universe is perfect and you come from the universe, ain't you perfect? Stop saying you're not perfect. Matter of fact, let me read this next line to you. Here's 4. Okay. However, if you even reach for perfection in your own imperfect life, which is perfectly imperfect, did you just say even perfection? I'm sorry. Even imperfection is perfect. Imperfection is perfectly imperfect. So what is imperfection? Another made-up word to distract you from your divinity. There is no imperfection. There is no not perfect. Everything's perfect. Everything is perfect. In fact, that's the only thing that exists is perfection. You live imperfection as perfection. That which is not perfect is not complete, and it's broken. So it don't work. Now you can say, okay, if you ain't working, you ain't perfect at this or at that or at something else. You're not perfect at what? When I'm doing my album, okay, and it's not finished, the album's not perfect yet. The album's not perfected yet. If I'm editing a movie, the movie's not perfect yet. But I'm getting there. At the end of that movie, at the end of that album, at the end of my show, at the end of whatever, it's perfect. Whatever happened is what is supposed to have happened, and it happened. How's it not perfect? Imperfection, then, is your opinion of yourself and others. Only opinion, because everything's perfect. That TV's perfect. My shirt is perfect. This beat's perfect. My glasses are perfect. I'm perfect. The gospel's perfect. The chair I'm in is perfect. This closet behind me is perfect. The door's perfect. This room is perfect. This camera is perfect. Everything. What is not perfect? What in your environment is not perfect? Even broken. It is perfectly broken. It is completely broken. That's what perfection means, complete. So what is not perfect? And let me go further with this, because I can't even get it. I can't even get the stupidity out my own mind. Okay, here you go. I'm only human. What kind of thoughts? I'm only human. Do you realize that human is the only human? Like, human is the natural connection between nature and the universe. That's why we here, you know. We communicate with beings that other animals cannot communicate with. Imagine that. Only human? The human mind is the greatest creation on the planet right now, probably in the universe. We don't know yet. But this thing, the human mind, oh man, free your mind. Only human? That's what a slave, that's how slaver talks. That's how they tell you, only human, putting you down. And human is the most magnificent thing in nature. How you only human? How? What else are you supposed to be? Okay, what? Okay, so at the end of the day, what I'm trying to bring out here is that well, first of all, let us highlight 4. And I'm gonna read it again. Let's highlight 4. Okay, paragraph 4 is highlighted. However, if you even reach for perfection in your own imperfect life, which is perfectly imperfect, such an act will indeed protect you from the world and its temptations. For in the material world, it is not perfection that is needed to protect you from temptation. It is the actual desire for perfection that is the indestructible shield and sword against the world and its agents of temptation. Never give up, keep trying, seek truth. This is the point. It's not perfection that you're looking for. It's the path toward perfection that makes you perfect. In truth, the truth is that temptation is always temporary. All temptations are spiritual tests. Therefore, when you are tempted, it is very important to be still and not say or do anything until the temptation shall pass. Indeed, the temptation shall pass. Don't say or do anything. I practice this when the cake come around or whatever it is. I always use the cake as the temptation symbol. But when that comes around, whatever it is, when it comes around, don't do nothing. Don't resist it. Just don't reach for it. Don't resist it. Have the feeling, damn, I really want that. But don't go for it. Just don't move. Control yourself. Somebody mouthing up, don't speak back to that. Control yourself. And that's your moment too, because it's not in the book. You got to have an actual person yelling at you to practice this. Okay, you have to have the cake got to be in front of your face. Okay, the pork chop, whatever it is for you. Okay, got to be right there in front of your face, and then you say, "I ain't doing it. I'm gonna practice discipline. I'm gonna use this time to perform discipline. I'm not gonna move toward the temptation." And you'll notice, you tell somebody, could you take that away from me right now, please? Let him take it away. Get up and walk away. Sit there until the situation passes you. All of this is control of yourself. And the way in which you get control of yourself is through real life situations and activities. So make sure you highlight 4. Reading on to 5. Well, I read 5, but I'm emphasizing this. I'm reading in the middle of 5. Try to remember that temptation is always temporary, but if you give into it all the time, its unpleasant effects can last a long time, even a lifetime. You know, that's very important there. It says, therefore, when you are tempted, it is very important to be still and not say or do anything. Indeed, the temptation shall pass, and it always does. Try to remember that temptation is always temporary, but if you give into it all the time, you give into temptations, its unpleasant after effects can last a lifetime. Can last a long time, even a lifetime. In addition, resisting temptation strengthens one's faith. Now, this is just straight resistance. It's like lifting spiritual weights or exercising. Resisting temptation strengthens one's physical vitality. However, the question here is, why should I resist temptation? Answer, because satisfying the call of temptation as opposed to the call of purpose leads to guilt, which can weaken your faith. Did you hear that? Let's read that one more time. Resisting temptation strengthens one's spiritual vitality. However, the question here is, why should I resist temptation? Why are we resisting temptation? Not just resist it because it's evil, or resist it because, manage yourself. We spoke about those things. Here's the why of it, okay? Why do you do all of that? Why should I resist temptation? Answer: because satisfying the call of temptation as opposed to the call of purpose, because that's what the temptation is always taking you away from, your purpose. Anything that leads to your purpose is not a temptation, it's a drive. Big difference. But temptation leads you away from your purpose. This is how you know if it's a temptation, it's leading you away from your purpose. My purpose is blah, blah, blah. You know what your purpose is. This don't go with the purpose. But you want it because it tastes good. It is good. It's this, it's that, it's that. But it don't go with your purpose. It's distraction from the purpose. The purpose don't need this. The purpose didn't ask for this. You don't need this for your purpose. Anything that goes against your purpose can be called temptation, even a distraction. So get this. Satisfying the call of temptation all the time, as opposed to your call of purpose, leads to guilt. And that guilt is what kills your faith. That's what weakens your faith. G. Simone brings us to both guilt and faith. Here's G. Simone on guilt. Giving up inspirational living toward yourself when you're guilty. Giving up inspirational living toward yourself, guilty. When you are guilty, that's what you're doing. You're giving up inspirational living toward yourself. Clear the guilt from your heart. How do you clear guilt from your heart? Realize that only God exists, and everything you did was God doing it and not you. But you got to walk the spiritual path to receive that kind of blessing and forgiveness and mercy and salvation on your life. Once you know God is in control of your life, then you say, then you know, I didn't do anything. That's when your sins are forgiven. Not even forgiven, they're washed away. Because you realize now, I didn't do anything. God did everything to lead me to right here. And if you really believe that, your sins go away because you're a new being, you're a new person. And this is important. It's important for you to understand these techniques and not get trapped in judgment and guilt and shame and all this stuff that weakens your spirit. So why do you practice resisting temptation or practicing moderation or this kind of thing? Because you don't want to live a guilty life. You want to live a faith life. G. Simone again. Focus and ignore the haters. For all it takes, hope. Fighting adversity in the hard times. And there's a whole bunch of others. But that's the faith. When you walk in faith, you're walking in this. When you're walking in faith, you don't care what nobody else is saying because you ain't guilty. They can criticize you all day, but you ain't guilty. So you can just have your criticism. You could focus and ignore the haters. You can you can forgive. After this is when she has to forgive. I forgot. But the point is that when you know that you are strengthened against temptation, you're not a guilty person. That's why you practice resisting temptation, so that you're not guilty. And then your faith is high when you're not guilty. Reading on, paragraph 7. Therefore, we must take advantage of temptation. We cannot allow temptation to take advantage of us, which is what's going on. Okay? When you know in your heart that you live righteously and your mind is focused only upon the fulfillment of your divine purpose, you expect the favor of God. And the key word is expected. And it is this expectancy that is at the center of one's faith and courage. Expectancy. But when you know in your heart that you are guilty of actions that you perceive as spiritually weak, evil, or immoral, you do not expect the favor of God. You hide from the presence of God. It is this expectancy, expecting not to receive the favor of God, that is at the center of your doubts and fears. Notice how one is at the center of your faith and courage. Expectancy as at the center of your faith and courage, and expectancy also at the center of your doubts and fears. You expect to be afraid. You expect for somebody to come over and judge you. You expect it. Why? Because you're guilty unto yourself. Simone just offered me this. Forgiveness always increases the healing. Faith. Forgiveness always increases the healing. Faith. Faith. With forgiveness in it. That's the next lesson after this. We're not getting to that. That's next week. Forgiveness. That's a big one. Big pill to swallow. That one. But here we're talking about faith. Simone just hit me. Gee, Simone, the acronologist, just hit me. Fresh news, y'all. Fresh. Here it is. Forgiveness always increases the healing. What a faith to have. What a healing to have through forgiveness, which strengthens your faith. Brilliant. It is your own guilt, paragraph 9. It is your own guilt, and it is your own guilt that diminishes your faith, and thus your ability to achieve your divine purpose. Ultimately, we judge and then weaken ourselves through guilt caused by our own submission to temptation and other weaknesses. Self-control and virtuous living strengthens your faith in God's favor upon you, which in turn enhances your ability to achieve your purpose and even perform miracles in your life and in the lives of others. Self-control makes you certain of your trustworthiness before God. When you practice self-control, you know you're trustworthy before God. You cannot fall into temptation because you have a firm practice in self-restraint. And it is this trustworthiness that empowers your faith to achieve your divine purpose and perform miracles. And notice the word perform miracles. Everyone knows that all of this stuff is a performance. It's not a read. You got to do it. Spiritual strength is also measured by one's patience and endurance. There's another piece now. For when you know in your heart that you live a righteous life and that God's favor is upon you, those things that you do not have, those people that you do not see, and those places that you do not go are all for your own good. Know that. For one of the keys to lasting discipline is when one becomes serious about, and this is a highlight. Number 12 is a highlight. This is highlight, y'all. Number 12 is highlight. Here we go. For one of the keys to lasting discipline is when one becomes serious about actually acknowledging the real presence of God. For when you know that God is with you, watching you, listening to you, etc., you need not try to be disciplined. You are automatically disciplined by the presence of God in your midst. Did you hear that? I'll underline this whole paragraph 12 is highlighted because this is the next piece now to discipline. We're going over all these pieces to discipline. This is another piece to discipline. When you know God is with you, you're disciplined. It automatically occurs. It's like walking with your grandmother. There's certain things you don't say in front of your grandmother. She ain't got to tell you to shut the fuck. She goes, shut up. She ain't got to tell you that. You know, walking with granddad, there's certain things I'm just not going to say. But that's because you acknowledge granddad is there. You know, or your father or your mother, even your brothers and sisters. You acknowledge that they're there. So there's certain things you ain't going to say, certain things you ain't going to do. because you acknowledge that they did. There's even certain things you do say and do because they're there. Well, the same thing with God. If you really know that God is watching you, looking at you, walking with you, if you know that for real, you don't need to know restraint. That knowledge that you're walking with a divine being straightens your back up quick if you really know this. But if you don't really know this, then your back gets relaxed. And you can do all types of dumb stuff in front of God. Ooh. A highlight number 12, please. 13. Undisciplined people can be said undisciplined people can be said to simply not believe in the presence of God or in their own spiritual abilities. They ignore their God and their own access to their own God force. Truth is always with them, but they ignore it. Love is always with them, but they ignore it. Oh, wait a minute. Love is always with them. Peace, wealth, knowledge, healing, etc. are always available to us, but we simply ignore them because we really don't believe that we deserve these gifts. We know to ourselves that we are imperfect because of the temptations that we have fallen to. And with such knowledge, we judge and limit ourselves. Here's the next highlight, 14, highlight. Discipline over the desires of the body and mind come when you truly acknowledge the existence and presence of God right next to you. Know this, a true awareness of God causes discipline to automatically happen. So get what's being said here. Once you know God is real, you are disciplined because there's certain things you're not going to say, do, or act in front of the divine force of the universe. You know God exists with you, so you're not going to do certain things. You walk as if God is with you. Emmanuel, God with us. You walk as if God is with you. That's the discipline. That's what causes the discipline. You can't lie. You can't cheat. You can't steal. You probably don't even get angry. If you know God, imagine if you know that God is walking with you and somebody runs up on you and, wants to rob you even. And you know to yourself God is with you. What do? You actually probably start laughing. Like, dude, don't do it to yourself. Like, please don't do this to yourself. Give me your jewels. Give me your God with you. Oh, here, take this. Take this. Because first of all, this thing I'm walking with is what gave me all the jewels, all the money. You're not robbing God. You're just taking what God gave me freely. And God says, as freely as you receive is as freely as you should give. So here, how can you rob me if I'm giving you something? Even if you got the gun to my head, I'm taking your shit. I'm taking everything. No, you're not. I'm giving it to you. You're just being belligerent about my free offer. Look at the life. Look at the difference in character and how the spiritual man or woman, the spiritual being is protected. When God is with you and you know with no doubt that God is with you, then all the anxieties of the world go away. All of the troubles or heartaches you may go through, they go away because you know that this God's walking through this. So let's go. Let's go. And are you walking with God or are you walking with yourself? That's the question. That's the question here. When you truly know you're walking with God, you're disciplined. But if you're walking with yourself and have God tagging along with you, you can feel real guilty. You can feel real guilty because it's you. You taking responsibility for your actions. You're taking responsibility for the direction you're going in your life. You're taking responsibility for 100% you. So you can feel guilty. Go ahead and feel that guilt because your actions are your fault. So feel the guilt. You did this to yourself and to others. Feel the guilt. But if you raise your consciousness expand your awareness and realize you don't make the sun come up in the morning. You don't make the moon come up at night. You don't make it rain. You don't make earthquake. You're not even responsible for when you wake up in the morning. You may call it an alarm clock, but no. If God don't want you to wake up, dude, you ain't waking up. There's another intelligence that governs everything about life and living. There's a whole nother intelligence. And just because a colonist doesn't know it or teaches it or respects it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. This is the point right here. Do you walk with God or not? Do you walk with God, or do you have God walking with you like a dog, like a slave? Have you enslaved your God? So you say, I'm walking with God, but I only want to associate with this person or people who look like this. I'm walking with God, but I'm afraid to go in that neighborhood. I'm walking with God, but this job that I got, I don't really want it. Are you walking with God, or are you walking with you? If you're walking with you, then all this other stuff matters. Then I don't like this, I don't like that, I don't want here, I don't want to be there, I don't like her, I don't like him. All of that matters if you're not walking with God. But if you're walking with God, then you're walking with God. You're not walking with you. You're walking with God. So God gonna lead you and lead you to some crazy places. But if you know you're walking with God, you know the place ain't so crazy. You know God, it's only crazy to you because you're human, okay? Or you still trying to be human. But once you come to divinity, you realize I'm here for every step of my life is governed by the Most High God. It don't matter where you are. You could be in college, you could be in prison, you could be in the cemetery under the ground, okay, and realize God's with me here too. Suddenly you resurrected. Yeah. Once you realize it, that's why study is so important, because study is realization. Knowledge is realization. Knowledge is awareness. Knowledge reigns supreme. Once you understand that, you're free. You're free. No guilt on the heart. Why? Because you live a righteous life. No guilt on the heart. Why? Because I didn't succumb to my temptations. My faith is high. I expect God in my life because I live a godly life. So I expect God in my life. And that expectancy is my faith. That's my faith. Now, if God is walking with me, I have no problem forgiving. I have no problem giving charity. I have no problem with it. I have a problem with hate. If God's walking with me and hates with me, no, I have a problem with that, because either God's going to wipe you out, or something's going to happen to you. And I don't want it on my head. I don't want it on my hands. I don't want it on my head. You acting silly over here, and I know God's walking with me. It's like walking with a warrior even. You over here in the corner going, hoo, 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 hoo. You know, you over there hooting and hollering. And you walking with a straight warrior. And it's like the next time that dude say hoo, 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 we going to come back with dude's head. And you walking with that, okay? This is what loves you. This is what wants you to make it. This is what cares and loves you. You walking with that. And dude walks up to you talking about you ain't this and you ain't that and you ain't the other and blah, 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 and has no spiritual knowledge. I can only tell you the stories that I've lived over 30 years. Dudes thought they were stepping over here for some reason. I'm preaching peace and love. I'm preaching knowledge and you must learn. And dudes is running out with, oh, KRS is this, KRS is that. Go check their life now. See, and this is the part you don't hear. You hear the hoop. You hear the hoopla. That come on the TV all the time. You hear the internet always got a scandal and a gossip and something going on. Did you hear this and did you see that? But they don't come back and show you dude in the hospital begging for his life. They don't come back to show you how right after they cursed the prophet, their whole house burnt down. They homeless now. They don't show you that part. That's not the part you get to see. You don't get to see these people who always yelling, these haters, who's hating you? The people of God? Who knows that prostitution, drug dealing, and murder is not good for our children? Like, who's hating? Who's the hater? Well, God knows who's hating. The governor of hate and love knows what time it is. And you should never give up your stance for some idiot talking stupidness that has no knowledge whatsoever of what they're talking about. The only thing you can say is what Jesus said. Yeshua said it right there. Forgive them, Father. They know not what they do. They don't even know what they're doing. Ignorant, completely lost, blind. That's how you deal with the world as it is. Blind, immature, ignorant. That's how you deal with the world. You don't deal with the world like it knows. It don't. You don't deal with the world like it walks with God. It doesn't. You deal with the world as it is. Ignorant, blind, deaf, dumb. Ignorant. Just immature. But is that you? But is that you? Is that you? That's the question. That's the point to this whole teaching. Let's get back to the reading. So I need you to highlight paragraph 14 and read it one last time. Discipline over the desires of the body and mind come when you truly acknowledge the existence and presence of God right next to you. Know this, a true awareness of God causes discipline to automatically happen to you. One does not have to be actually disciplined to keep one's hands off the hot stove. It is not that you need to restrain yourself from touching the hot stove. It is more the fact that you do not want to burn your hand. In this example, discipline is not only a matter of awareness, it is also a matter of taking care of yourself. It is a matter of self-respect. Again, seek the truth of God's actual presence, and discipline is sure to follow. Do you understand that? For the attuned hip-hopper, discipline has more to do with realizing truth and having respect for oneself than the practice of restraint. Again, for the attuned hip-hopper, discipline has more to do with realizing truth and having respect for oneself than the practice of restraint. The whole divine performance is a disciplinary training exercise designed to produce a hip-hop character behavior that prepares one for leadership and victory over the obstacles of the streets. Can we highlight that? Let's go ahead and highlight that. Highlight the whole 16, as a matter of fact. Highlight the whole 16. We have 2 more highlights to go. Highlight the whole 16. For the attuned hip-hopper, for us, discipline has more to do with realizing truth and having respect for oneself than the practice of restraint. The whole divine performance is a disciplinary training exercise designed to produce a hip-hop character behavior that prepares one for leadership and victory over the obstacles of the streets. That explains the whole divine performance. That's why we're highlighting it, outlining it. Paragraph 17. Therefore, we must remember to use moments of anxiety to perform patience and calm. Use moments of depression to perform joy. Commit to yourself. Bring order to yourself by recognizing and truly respecting only the existence and value of God in your life. Make the conscious decision to value, and I underline the word value here, your God. Stop burning your hands on the hot stoves of the world's temptations. This is spiritual strength. This is a divine performance. Start your discipline practice small by resisting your favorite cake, as an example. Try not to overeat. Speak less. These are discipline techniques. These are not restraints. This is just the character of a disciplined person. Okay? Try not to overeat. Control yourself. Speak less. Turn off or unplug the television. Cease listening to the radio. And notice the word listening. You can hear the radio, but stop listening to it. Go on to resist argument and gossip. Resist that. Stay away from that. Begin repeating an affirmation or prayer regularly. Like instead of listening to gossip, say an affirmation. You know, I am the greatest MC ever. I am the greatest DJ ever. I have the new house by January. I am completely healed, whole, and perfect. You know, get an affirmation. I finished my degree. Here's 19, and 19 is a highlight. 19 highlighted. Practice fasting from junk foods, recreational drugs, intoxicating drinks, lustful desires, unproductive conversations, and even the careless spending of money. That is important. Let me read that one line to that again, up at the top. Practice fasting from junk foods, recreational drugs, intoxicating drinks, lustful desires, unproductive conversations, and even the careless spending of money. In these examples, the achievement of discipline is a matter of spiritual self-respect, which leads to physical self-control. Again, spiritual self-respect leads to physical self-control. Now may be the time to truly care for yourself, and most of all, value yourself. These lead to discipline. Highlight that whole piece. 20. The teacher practices withdrawing his senses from the happenings of the material world. It's a practice. With this performance, the teacher escapes the inconsistent and sometimes dangerous events of the world. But the teacher is mindful not to become too distant from those whom he is teaching or she is teaching. Balance is the key. This word moderation, balance, even justice is the key. If you have proven your discipline and self-governance, okay, you can indulge in worldly temptations at times. The practice of discipline is not to abstain, and this is also a highlight, I'm just getting through it. The practice of discipline is not to abstain from the happenings of the physical world. It is to be strong enough to stop and start such activities at will. The teacher is simply free from addiction. That's the point. Highlight the whole 21. I'll read it again. If you have proven your discipline and self-governance, now this is the top. Once you've proven your discipline, okay, and self-governance of yourself, you've already put the cake down. It was already offered to you 3 times. Okay, you've already put it down. Now, if you have proven your discipline and self-governance, you can indulge in worldly temptations at times. The practice of discipline, and this is again an explanation, that's why it's important. The practice of discipline is not to abstain from the happenings of the physical world. It is to be strong enough to stop and start such activities at will. The teacher is simply free from addiction. In fact, when it is pleasurable to abstain from pleasure, one can be called teacher. When one looks forward to moments of self-restraint, one can be called teacher. The teacher is unattached and mentally independent. Paragraph 23. The teacher is not lured nor tempted toward pleasure. The teacher freely and willingly chooses pleasure. This is the difference. The world and its temptations do not move the teacher. Let me just read that front part again, because the rest of it is a quote. Let me read that front part again, make sure you got that. The teacher is not lured, nor tempted toward pleasure. The teacher freely and willingly chooses it. But to be able to freely and willingly choose your pleasure, you have to perform some restraint on it. You have to at least give yourself some sort of restraint. 3 times you denied it. Go with the 4. 5 times you denied yourself. Go with the 6. Don't deny yourself pleasures. Don't be a slave to them. That's the point. Finishing up 23 now. As Henrik Frederick Emil, Henrik Frederick Emil, and you got to roll the off, Frederick Emil, he's a philosopher, has pointed out, quote, the man who has no refuge in himself, who lives, so to speak, in his front room, surface living, in the outer whirlwind, lives in his front rooms, in the outer whirlwinds of things and opinions, is not properly a personality at all. He floats with the current, who does not guide himself according to higher principles, who has no ideal, no conviction. Such a man is a mere article of the world's furniture. A thing moved instead of a living and moving being, an echo, not a voice. The man who has no inner life is the slave of his surroundings, as a barometer is the obedient servant of the air at rest. And the weathercock, the humble servant of the air in motion. End quote. And I want to read this front part again. Get this. These are keys to life. The man who has no refuge in himself, who lives, so to speak, in his front rooms, in the outer whirlwind of things, gossip, what's going on in the news, well, everything out here, everything's outside, everything's going on out here. Did you hear what went on? Did you hear Billy? Did you hear what happened to Sally? Did you hear? Everything with you is out there, the whirlwind of the world, and you're living in your outer rooms, your front rooms, okay? No depth. And what is the depth, okay? The man who has no refuge in himself, who lives, so to speak, in his front rooms, in the outer whirlwinds of things and opinions, is not properly a personality at all. He's nothing. He's not even a personality. We didn't even get the character yet. You don't even have no character. You're not even a personality. You're nothing if you have no inner. If you can't live from within yourself, then the philosopher says, he floats with the current. The one who does not guide himself according to higher principles. The one who has no ideals, no convictions. Such a person is a mere article of the world's furniture. You're just a chair. You're just a TV. You're just here in the room. We can move this TV. This TV can't stop us from moving it. This TV can't. This is a movable TV. The same thing with this closet behind me. This movable closet. These things are furniture. They're saying that without an inner, without having some higher principles, you just furniture in the world. You're just being moved. And guess what? You're being moved by people with higher principles. Those who understand what I'm reading. Are the governors, are the senators, are the ministers. You can criticize them all day. There's much to criticize. But they know this. They know this. They know how to move you. Because you're not living from within yourself. You're not living with a conviction. You're not living with ideals. You're not living from higher principles. And it's shown in your actions, shown in what you expect, shown where you hang out, shown how you speak. So we can see right up at the top. You saying, I'm a spiritual being and my ancestors guide me. Then 2 minutes later, we watch you. You cursing out your friends. You anxious. You afraid. You doubtful. You guilty. What? Dig a little deeper. You selfish. You jealous. You greedy. Come on now. But your head wrapped and you wearing some sort of Africa something. But so now the ancestors with you, right? Nah. Sorry. Not at the temple of hip hop. We need truth. And the truth is, if your ancestors are not coming into your room as spirits and saying to you, either to your face or through a medium, or some other way that they communicate, drumming and all that, hit the ayahuasca, something, go somewhere. And if your ancestors ain't tell you they approve of you, they don't. Period. You should be trying to get the approval of your ancestors. If you really walking around with your head wrapped and you talk about black and consciousness and all this type of stuff, and you have no confirmation on your ancestry, you still afraid of the dead. You haven't seen a medium yet, right? That's all devil worship, right? All that's black magic, but you black. Okay, so what I'm pointing out here is the hypocrisy as I end this piece, as we end our whole teaching today. I want to point out that last piece on hypocrisy. Let us not be like that. Let us not be like that. Me, I'm a black African. Look at me. Look. Okay, black African. Ain't no getting around it. Okay, that's what it is. But I understand that the deepest part of being black is being African. The deepest part of being African, though, is being human. The deepest part of being human is being God. So how deep do you take yourself? How serious do you take yourself, which is the whole lesson today? With discipline, with profound listening, with profound study. How serious do you take you? That's the point. How serious do you take you? And this last part right here points it out. Those who have no higher convictions, have no principles, live on gossip and hearsay, and what the TV say in reality is, you're just furniture in the world and you're being moved from here to there. And not only are they moving people like this physically, they're really moving you emotionally. Because once they move your emotions, they can move you. So they move your emotions first, then you follow the emotion. Why? Because you have no place else to go. You live on your surface. If you can go deeper within yourself and really get into what we studied here today, you'll have someplace else to go. The world will not overwhelm you. People's actions and what they say will not harm you. They will not make you sad or angry or whatever it is, because you got someplace else to go. You got an inner conviction. And again, use your teacher as an example. Look at KRS-ONE. I mean, take a look at me right now. That's why I always say, don't just, read the book, look at the one teaching, okay, as well. If I can't live up to this my damn self, what are you doing? There's no reason for you to listen to nothing I got to say at all. If I can't live up to this, okay? But now take a look at me. I'm living up to it. Take a look. You can go online right now. I'm getting dissed right now. Right now as we speak. Somebody typing up some craziness. KRS is whack. KRS think he all that. KRS da. They typing it up right now. Right now. That's the nature of the internet. It's what it is. You get likes, you get dislikes. You get thumbs up, you get thumbs down, or whatever it is. You get that. That's what it is. But if you don't have nowhere else to go, if your whole world is the internet, and they're slandering your name, they're trying to call you out on this or that and the other. If you ain't walking with God, that will bother you. It will bother you. And it bothers some people to the point where they commit suicide. They kill themselves online because of what people saying about them. Other people have to smoke something, drink something, pop a pill, because what's being said about them online, they feel is ruining their life. Nah, what's said online don't ruin your life. Life is bigger than the internet. Remember that, okay? But a lot of people don't remember that. They think their life is the internet. They think that they matter on the internet. They don't matter in real life. They matter only in this screen. And that's slavery. That's the new slavery right there. The new mark of the beast right there, where you're supposed to be able to use this technology for what we are using it for right now. Dissemination of information. That's all this is supposed to be used for. Dissemination of information, exchanging of ideas. That's it. But people do all types of stupid stuff with this same technology, and it shows in their character. And they experience their character. They experience their character in their world. So their world is real for them. And they experience that gossip and all of that. It becomes real, and everything's real and real and real. But look at the whole pond or river or whatever look at the whole basin in which you're stepping into. It's a world basin. You're not acting like God is walking with you. Like God did not just read this gospel with me. I got to get my act right, because God is with me in this room right now. Just as God is with you in that room, in the room you in right now, God is with you, standing right next to you. Your ancestors, the people that love you, are with you right now. Realize it and be free. Don't go with the colonial idea that when you're dead, you're gone. That's what they want, because they want to cut you off from your lineage so they can continue to own it and use it and exploit it. Your divine lineage, that's what they're using. Your divine lineage. And look at this. I don't want to diss nobody's religion, but I'm talking hip hop. Look at this. It is known, okay, it is known in every crime scene, any kind of justice, that if you want to know who the thief is, and you want to know who the victim of theft is, look and see who has, and look and see who doesn't have. And you look and see what a person doesn't have, then you look for what they don't have other places. It's not that everybody has religion. India got religion, Africa got religion, everybody got religion, okay? It's not just that. It's the fact that African Americans in particular, Black people, have no religion. Black people in America have no religion. We always have to go with a foreign religion to have some connection to God. Yet we are human beings like everybody else. Why we can't reach for God for ourselves and develop a code of conduct and character that really produces divinity in our lives? Why we can't do that? Because we don't believe we can. Because we're still slaves on the plantation. Massa telling us who God is, and Massa telling us he's God. You see, you can talk all day and say, yes, I'm free, I'm Nat Turner, I'm a black man, but you still believe that white Jesus though, right? You still can't see divinity here at the temple of hip hop. That whole sentence don't even make sense to you, right? So how you God? If God is everywhere and omnipotent, how you with God and you not with God here? God is everywhere but here, right? God is in every holy book except this one, right? Okay. Look at the stupidity for yourself. Look at the attitude for yourself and decide for yourself how you're going to respect yourself. Not what these people say about you or what they say about themselves, but what do you say about yourself, and how are you going to respect yourself and your culture and the people that look like you? How are you going to respect that? How? How are you going to respect that? And to take it outside of race, I've said black folk, because look at all the religions. And look at this. All the world religions, which come out of Africa too, by the way, all of the world religions, none of the people practicing the religion ever rose to the level of the religion. No one. No one. There's only one Christian. His name is Jesus Christ. There's only one Christian. And that dude died on the cross. And he didn't even call himself Christian. He died a Jew. Where's the real Christian then? And I don't mean historical Christian, you know, Mother Teresa or these people. Where's the Christian in Brooklyn? Okay. Where's the Christian in Compton? Where's the Christian in Chicago, South Side? Where's this Christian? You know, where's that? Where it really matters. Where's the Christian? Where's the real Jew? Moses was the only Jew. The only real Jew is Moses. Okay, that's it. Everybody else playing games. Everybody else is trying to be, reading to study, trying to know. But when do we become it? When is that? We're going to read for 2,000 years and still don't get the word of Christ? Then that means that book don't work. 2,000 years and we still haven't got, something don't work. But because it's being pushed on you by a government with guns, you say God's with it. Nah, God's with the people. God is with whatever God is not. God goes where God is not. So for us who are sitting here without God, God is with us because we are without God. Everyone else claims to have God, so God is not with them. You're not hearing me right now. I know this might be a problem for some people, but I'm only speaking truth and logic. This is a philosophical mystery school. We're not playing games here. If you already got God, then God ain't with you. Because you already got God, right? God's already in your book, right? You already made the temple. You already made the church, the cathedral, the mosque, the synagogue. You already did it. God's already with you, right? And these are the results of God with you. Now, there's another group of people that have no God. All these religions are enslaving this group. All of them. You go to any of the major religions, including Buddhism and Hinduism, enslaved our people. The reason why we even in America is because of all of these religions. Real talk. Real talk. Now, who got God? The slaver or the enslaved? God comes to the aid of the oppressed, not the oppressor. That's in everybody's book. Everybody's book got that. But we also know that in nature because we know what is God's presence? Justice, balance, moderation, okay, discipline. So when you take something from nature, nature balances itself. You can't just take something from nature and nature not restore it to restore its own balance. You took our heritage. You took our legacy. You took our lands. You took our resources, our minerals, even our knowledge of God. You took that. Now we're left with nothing. No family heritage, no lineage, no God, no nation, no laws, no principles, nothing. We're just slaves working for a white racist colonial society. Now you decide where God, who would God come to? Who would a merciful, compassionate, loving God, according to everybody's book, who would that God come to? Would that God come to Christopher Columbus, or would that God come to the Arawaks? Where would God be? Would God be with the African Americans, or would God be with the Americans? Would God be with Chauvin, or would God be with Floyd? These are simple questions that people cannot answer because to answer them arrives at the truth. We arrive at the truth right now. And people don't want truth. They want to live their emotions. They want their emotions satisfied. So whatever satisfies emotion is what we're going to go with as religion and spirituality. But we can't even see no real religion and real spirituality because I can't deal with it. I can't deal with it. You're going to tell me I'm the devil, and I don't want to deal with that. So I'm just not going to deal with the truth. But hip hop has a way out for everybody. And as we learn, as we study, we're going to find these ways. It's all here. We're going to find these ways. So this is the teaching, y'all. This is it. This is what it is. How serious do you take yourself? And how serious do you take hip hop? How serious do you take yourself as hip hop? How serious do you take God? How serious do you take the spiritual life? Black folk listening to me, how serious do you take your blackness? How serious? Really? You still hating and claiming black? Still greedy? Claiming black? Still jealous? Claiming black? Selfish? Angry? Afraid? Doubtful? Guilty? We went over this today, y'all. Make sure you get the lesson. Because discipline is not about, I'm just not going to eat the cake today. Discipline is about your self-respect, knowing that God is right here next to you, and I expect the favor of God because I live a righteous life. Welcome to the Temple of Hip Hop. I will see you guys next week. Next week, we're going to talk about perform forgiveness, and that's a doozy. That's a big pill, perform forgiveness. And we may even go into patience, because forgiveness and patience also goes together. You can see how this was written too. It's in stages, but they go together. One piece connects to the other piece. You can walk through this. The divine performance is a spiritual path, and you can see it laid out right here. So this concludes our lesson this week. Again, this is the Temple of Hip Hop. I'll see you guys next week. Same time, Sunday, East Coast time, 12 o'clock. And that's it. KRS-ONE is here. G. Simone is here. Shout out to everyone with the Temple of Hip Hop listening and learning with us. We're building our culture right now. Big up to Sun One. Sun One, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to run to the bathroom as well. But I'm listening. Peace and love.
Peace and much love, teacher. Thank you. So what I'm going to go into is just a little bit continuing with what the teacher is saying, but obviously seeing as we have a real life example in in my life, which you are all have been invited into via teaching in real time and with the gospel of hip hop. It is that reminder that God is with you in every single situation. And that when you can recognize that, really, I would say that is a practice of which we all need to continuously try to keep our awareness attuned to. It was like how teachers said, no, when the person comes to rob you, you're like, well, take it, because God gave it to me. And if God gave it to me, God will give it to me again, no matter whether you take it or whether I just keep it. But that's called, I would say, extreme faith and an extreme knowing, or a full knowing of always being within the presence of God. And so I just want to show you real quick of how with what happened to me and reading, performing, listening, of how it's really the gospel of hip hop that comforted me. And I would say even brought me back to my senses, because really everybody should know what affected me most, I would say, is the recognition of God speaking directly. That is what brought me down to my knees. Again, even though I'm talking with God all day, every day, and I know God's with me. I was saying God's with me before everything, while everything, and after everything. But again, and this is where it's important to realize how teachers said, yes, no, get control of your emotions, for one, so that you can think clearly, and also so that you can see clearly what's really happening. to give you guys just even a little more insight, all of that happening led me actually to be available for my mother as something happened to her that wasn't such a good thing, and my sister is normally who takes care of her when anything goes wrong, but she has something going on with her partner, which her partner is going through chemotherapy, and she needed a break, and all this all happened and compiled all at one time. And so essentially I was able to relieve her from the hospital and sit there with my mother, who really I don't see very often, and haven't had, I would say, a normal mother-son relationship through the years. But needless to say, a quick side note, I happened to look up while I was sitting with her, or I sat with her pretty much through the night until around 5 o'clock in the morning. But all of a sudden I looked up and I noticed that where she was put in the emergency room in the hospital, I look up and it says C1031. And my mother's birthday is October 31st. And so I look up and I see it, and it says C right before the numbers. Y'all know I got a picture of it. But I was like, oh, it's clearly in the bloodline, because she could have been put in any place. Or you have to be able to see it and know what it is. She could have been put anywhere, but where she is, her birth date is sitting right above her in this area where she is. Now that was just one thing. Now, what I want to read real quick is just what a couple of things that comforted me when I opened up the gospel randomly, just to show you how this couldn't really work for you if you're not using it like this at this current time. Now, I'm starting in the inner city, page 292, at paragraph 56. It says I'm going to start at 55. It says, the issue is that you must finally decide to make up your mind. You must actually make your mind. For it is you, the spirit, that makes up your mind. And the mind then goes on to create the physical body and life circumstances. The question is, are you going to live and be moved by your inner city reality, or are you going to live and be moved by your outer city environment? This is relating into how Teacher was talking about either living in your front rooms or whether you actually got a basement somewhere and you got some inner depth to you. Which has more value to you? Which one brings you peace? At some point in your training, you must finally accept the spiritual life and its powers and cease trying to live two lives and two opposing realities, one spiritual mystical and the other material worldly. You should repeat to yourself, I am a resident of God's spiritual inner city. I prefer to walk with God in the realm of the spirit. I have freely chosen God over the world, and I am content with my choice. Say all of this to yourself over and over again. I am content with my free choice. I am content with God's presence. Spiritual awareness is more important to me than the temporary sensations of the world. At some point in your training, you will be surrounded by fearful, desperate, doubtful people, most of which will be your closest associates, even members of your own family. But do not be depressed by this. They are here to help build your strength. Humble yourself and perform listening. This will be one of your greatest challenges. Now, again, immediately I was first brought to something containing, again, perform listening, and heeding that message again. How do you really want to live? And it got even more, and there was more before it that really related to me. I just wanted to make sure I got that little affirmation in there so that we could all hear that. But again, also pointing out that it brought me to perform listening again. And so I knew that this is something that obviously I should study, pay attention to, and I don't want to say put into practice because it isn't practice, but turn it up or reaffirm to myself and get somehow, I don't really have the word for it, but just essentially tune up, reattune myself. Get back to that. I kept seeing signs that said, get back to being you. And between what I had read there in the inner city, and then I had opened up into the teacher's overstanding, it all kind of, or it was all working. The outer environment was saying one thing, and the gospel was saying the same exact thing. And that's why I'm pointing this out, to show you how much the gospel can actually be a help in your real life. If you're going through something, consult this gospel. Don't feel any type of weird way about it. It really works, or I'm telling you and showing you really how much it's really that real. It may be scary to some people, how real it can be, but this is the truth. And this is why really here, this is all we're trying to get across to everybody, is the truth of this actual experience. And as teacher was saying earlier, if you're only going to see God if you want to see God. Those that don't see God is really just because they're not, or not because God's not there. It's because they don't want to see it, because God does make them feel guilty. God makes some people feel guilty and makes other people feel joyful. I'm the type that when I see God and feel God around, I feel joyful. I don't feel guilty, because again, I carry that understanding that we're not doing that much, besides maybe choice and thought. But again, as teacher said, we don't make the sun rise, we don't make the moon go down. I noticed, or really even going into the hospital was a very humbling experience. You want to feel helpless, go into an emergency room and see all these people in pain and wanting to get better, and you can't do anything besides pray and vibrate yourself and try to send off healing energy throughout the building of which you're in. But you don't see that immediate effect, or like they try to make out that people have been able to do in the past. You don't see that. And let me not get into that. But okay, right here, page 488, I got brought to as well. Paragraph 115. If you say that you are divine, then be divine. Act like the divinity you claim to be. This is what it means to be a hip-hop teacher. The teachings of our temple demand that you be who you say that you are and do what you say that you can do. Stop being afraid of being you. Stop dumbing yourself down so that others can feel secure around you. Stop allowing your temptations to hinder your development. Be you, the real you, the divine you. The teacher acknowledges the direct revelation of truth through the intuitive and spiritual nature of the individual, and that any person who is comfortable with himself may become a revealer of truth. However, every life philosophy or life advice will be backed up by the events of that philosopher's advisor's real life in the physical world. Everyone has a philosophy on life. Everyone is a master teacher on television and CDs. However, the question is, does one's philosophy actually work in your real life? Teachers teach from the ancient wisdom of various sacred texts that have been revealed and proven throughout human history. This knowledge is best activated in a hip hopper's daily life with the study of the gospel of hip hop. Using a variety of techniques, including westernized spiritual language, the teacher teaches that God operates through divine mind, which is the law of God. We are immersed in this law, which is a creative substance that receives the direct impressions of our thoughts and brings them into physical manifestation. We are the authors of our own lives. God is the book itself. The task of the teacher is to make hip hop real for the hip hopper. This is achieved by living in the way that you teach and truly feel. Most people think and feel one way but act another way. The teacher must be mindful of this. The exercise of hip hop's teacher is to bring the hip hopper's thinking and feeling regarding hip hop into harmony with that hip hopper's actions. In other words, if you feel hip hop, act it out. Don't suppress your true feelings as a hip hopper. If you think like a hip hopper, then live like a hip hopper. Live like an attuned hip hopper. Again, as teacher pointed this out when reading The Divine Performance. Again, it's a performance. Act it out. This is our greatest discovery as hip hoppers, to know that our repeated behaviors cause our hip hop reality to occur in the physical world. We are truly the authors of ourselves and our destiny as hip hoppers. So, as you become more and more attuned and in harmony with your true self, do not marvel at the miracles in your own life. The more you realize you, the more your environment shall cater to your vision of yourself. Life itself responds to your vision of yourself. Being in harmony with your truth causes the so-called miracles in your life. And again, with such spiritual harmony, you will notice a certain exactness to the so-called random events of your life. You will always be right on time and in harmony with life's events. Do not be amazed or try to over-intellectualize the miraculous events of your spiritual life. Go with the flow, acronym by Minister G. Simone. Follow life's outcome willingly. Expect to have things go your way, even if such a way appears impossible at the time, or the results of your actions do not prove favorable right then and there. As a teacher, you are always in harmony. Or let me just point out real quick again, right, with that. This is something I needed to be reminded of. I needed a reminder of this. And again, this is a large book. I could have opened up to any pages, but the pages that I open up to are speaking exactly directly to what I need when I need it. This is what I'm trying to show you. As a teacher, you are always in harmony with life itself. Sometimes things will happen that appear out of your control or unproductive to your work, but hold on. Your physical senses cannot sense your entire being. They can only sense the happenings of your physical existence. You, on the other hand, operate in several dimensions at once. So, what appears to be a disaster in the present may not be so in the future. And what happens to you in your space may be necessary for the prevention of something even more dangerous happening to you in another space. Remember, for those who live principled lives, all of our so called accidents are for our own good and further development. Our God is always working toward the fulfillment of our well being, even when our conscious minds are unaware of it. Again, go with the flow, follow life's outcome willingly. I'll stop right there. Again, I just wanted to show that or how the gospel and the Temple of Hip Hop's teachings really work in real life and in real time. Again, I wish I wish that I could say that I'm I know what's in the gospel, but I wish I could say I was at the point where that happened, and I could say, right, the teacher's overstanding, paragraph 126. This is says da 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 da. I wish I could say that I'm at that level. I'm not. I'm gonna keep it real with y'all. I'm gonna give y'all the truth. Okay? And the point is that no, it was random. Both of those, random. Pretty much confirming the same thing. Confirming the same thing as perform listening. That I, at that time, had to read because teacher needed to travel and get to where he needed to be. And then everything happening and bringing me then to being there for my mother. Other things are happening, and you can't control what you don't control. And that's what you have to realize. And this is why, no, if when you're going through something, as with the advice of the Temptations, it's really just best to be still and relax and know that God is forever being God. And again, if you have the favor of God, that you can expect the favor of God, and that everything is going to work out as it was supposed to, and that your movements and the way that you are have more to do with just your immediate wants and desires, needless to say. So understand that it's really, for me, it has been just another added spiritual existence. I feel like I'm living in a Bible or in a gospel. The way things continuously seem to work like this. It's a wonderful thing. I thank God. I thank my family. I thank my teacher. I thank his family. I thank ACRONOLOGIST Minister G. Simone. I thank everybody who gave me encouragement. All my friends, and I thank everybody for this wonderful existence and what hip hop is, and our involvement with it, and the fact that we've been chosen to receive this knowledge that clearly everybody finds hard to operate within this world because they don't have this. And we are definitely privileged. We are privileged to have this knowledge, to have this insight. And again, I'll keep you guys updated. We're going to watch it all unfold. And I guarantee you, it's all for the positive. It's all for the good. It's all for God. So with that, I thank you all for showing up again. Peace and much love to everybody. We are not going to Sesame Street. did a little investigation, and it doesn't look like the safest place for a child right now during these times. And so we're just gonna keep it moving. But this was Sesame Street. Teacher was correct again. Peace and much love to you all. I hope you guys have a blessed week. Peace. I'd like to welcome y'all tonight to some dope shit. Talk that sass, nigga. They can't compete, really. In truth, they look silly when I bust this rhyme. They all like, what's the dilly? Yo, I'm from a higher echelon of raw spitters. Ain't no pinch round here. My niggas, we all hitters. We home with it. Most niggas is blown with it. Niggas known with it. Known to go get it. Split your dome with it. I'm trying to tell you this some ritual shit. We'll put a hole in it. This is that habitual spit. I broke the mold with it. Smacking with perpetual hits. The lost control with it. Beyond intellectual gifts, a higher soul in it. Knowing you would get and receive. Way past thoughts conceived that you would never believe. These flows gon' bring you closer to the shit that you need. Not entice your carnal wants of selfishness and your greed. I don't waste time, this time in front of you's divine. Every line designed to enhance power of mine. We gon' ride out, broke ass bitches just hide out. We gon' slide out, niggas ain't gon' be no time out. Let me find out, you goddamn right they timed out. We blew they mind out, guarantee you'll find no doubt when this rhymes out. See, I know you want them bars, that's gon' show you the way. So nigga, show with the flow, blow that fuck shit away. Hip-hop ain't no mistake, this is that purposeful fake. Only the real can reveal, we ain't fucking with fake. And so we here now, this is what we do with this time. We decide eye to eye if we gon' rise or decline. I'm not only checking the mic, nigga, I'm checking your mind. From when you stand on your soul to the strength of your spine. We in that place now, rocking in the upside down. I got that true sight, visions of tunnels up underground. You see I move light, faster than the speed of sound. See my intelligence is moving, proving leaps and bounds. More than that Astro, dog, best believe I'll jet, son. Trust Lord, bastard, if indeed you connect one. You gotta know the knowledge, ain't no rise if you set, son. It's much more to the journey than just learning you met one.